You're listening to the Overcast, your joke-making, fun-having pop culture podcast, brought to you by Oversoul Gaming. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Overcast. I'm Justin.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Brooksy.
And together, we're bringing you sunshine on a cloudy day. And, you know, for the second time in Season 3, we're joined by a guest for this episode. Brooksy, would you like to introduce the guest?
Yeah, I would be more than happy to. I have along right next to me, Faye. Faye is someone that I met about 4 or 5 years ago, working together at the same restaurant. Ironically, helped her with her orientation paperwork and became really close friends throughout the time. And and now we actually live together. So very thrilled to have her here today.
Hello.
Hello.
And we're glad to have you on the show. Before we get into our usual life updates / small talk and all that, I just want to point out to the audience, as if it wasn't clear by the title of this episode, it's Brooksy's birthday episode. So we're all going to wish him
Brooksy.
a collective happy birthday. Yes, you know. Happy birthday, Brooksy. And as it is his episode, he chose the topic for this one, which is going to be all about fantasy, you know. Lord of the Rings, Dragon Age, Harry Potter, all that fun stuff. We're going to get deep into it. But before all that, the usual life updates and all that. And those of you who've been listening since the beginning, you already know it's tradition on this show when we have a guest to have them go first for this section. So, Faye, if you'd like to introduce yourself to the audience and then just kind of talk about anything interesting you've been up to lately.
Yeah, of course. My name is Faye, known as Faye Wild on my social media. Mostly active on TikTok, but I am a huge fantasy nerd. Some of the things that I've been up to recently, I have been learning the ways of Minecraft via my other roommate, specifically in building. Built a giant moon recently that I'm very proud of.
Nice.
I also...
Okay.
Have a birthday coming up in a few weeks myself, where I'll be running a D&D campaign based off of a homebrew world I've spent 6 years building, which is very exciting. And yeah, some of the things that going on right now specifically, oh wow, straight blank. We're all good. Work's kind of hell, but we're all good there. Currently looking for a new job, which is really awesome. And I have been working really hard on making it to the next Renaissance Fair and planning out some cosplays and possibly starting streaming again / doing more cosplays on TikTok. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But besides that, Minecraft, D&D have been very much up my alley. I have a huge passion when it comes to high fantasy escapism, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of just super into fantasy since I was a kid. Kind of the classic black sheep of the family, where I came from like a family of doctors or really analytical family members, and kind of just became a huge fantasy nerd. Yeah, it's kind of my main update, besides my roommate teaching me how to fight with a sword. That's also fun.
Oh, nice. That wouldn't happen to be one of our previous guests from the Game Award episodes.
Yes, it would be Daniel, now known as Lucian, that she's referring to.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we've been practicing sword fighting. The biggest game in the house right now is called Sword Ball, where we literally just picked up a giant squishy ball that we bat back and forth with foam swords, so that we can get our like calibration.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like playing hockey, where each of us are the goalie, but you're using a sword instead of a hockey stick. So it's a little more tricky because you don't have a flat base at the bottom of it.
Okay.
Exactly. But yeah, that's kind of been my major life update here, is just living my nerd life and enjoying all my favorite escapism. Palia, I'm on another Baldur's Gate run. Can't keep me away from Baldur's Gate 3. But yeah.
Oh, nice.
And how many hours do you have in right now?
465 hours we're not going to talk about.
And how many characters have you created?
13, which is my lucky number.
You know
my
what?
goal is to play through every single class and every single race, and I'm saving Dark Urge for the end, so I can have I can witness the entire gameplay experience from every single class in Baldur's Gate, so I can make an official decision on what my favorite Baldur's Gate class is.
Nice.
It'll probably be discussed more in the topic, but I've probably played Final Fantasy X and Kingdom Hearts 2 both 20 times or more each. So, yeah, I had limited options when I was younger, but those were two of them.
That's fair. Believe it or not, I have some games that have some egregious hours. I have in The Sims 4, I have 1,900 hours of playthrough.
God.
And in Stardew Valley, I have 978 hours of playthrough.
I'm a dabbler myself. I'll taste test a bunch of different games till I find something I like and sit with it. Oh, yeah. That's what Game Pass is for.
I know, but I can't wait for you to finish Expedition 33. I need to talk about the ending. And don't get me wrong, thank you, Ryan, if you're listening, for indulging me on talking about Expedition. But Justin,
you're gonna be waiting a while, my guy. This game is hard.
I know.
So,
I know it is.
So, it's for someone like me, it's a miracle that I've gotten as far as I have, quite frankly.
And I'm proud of you for it, because it's so worth it. I promise. If you thought the end of Act 1 was insane, the end of Act 2 is just, oh man.
Such an amazing story, but the gameplay genuinely pisses me off sometimes.
I love it.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh god, I love it so much.
The game
I've had my first encounter with Charm, and I had to put the game down for a second. I couldn't
The game I've been trying to push myself to finish, just because I really have loved all the gameplay I've seen of it, is Fire Emblem Three Houses. I feel like I always open it up on my Switch and I get really far.
That's the one you've been playing on the Switch recently?
That is the one I've been playing on the Switch recently. On the big screen, and then our roommate Lucian also has recently just been watching me play Fire Emblem Three Houses, and they're like, this is really cozy, and I'm like, you are correct.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind if I hijack that for a segue, or did you have anything else?
No, absolutely. Please hijack away.
Speaking of the Nintendo Switch, I'll go now. I'm on, I want to say, day 39 or so of 100 Line Last Defense Academy, which has Fire Emblem combat, by the way. That's why I bring it up. Holy shit, this game's story is, as far as it objectively should be nominated for narrative this year at the Game Awards. I think
it could.
For narrative, for me, it's neck and neck. With Expedition 33. And I have a strong feeling both of those games are in my top 5 this year. Top 3 probably, actually. So, it's just it's another one of those. They both do the exact same thing with their narrative. They just lay out breadcrumbs of answers that just bring more questions, and it just keeps drawing you in with more and more intrigue with the mystery behind why everything is and what it is. So, and I greatly appreciate that. Both of them know what they're doing in terms of narrative structure.
I do really love that they both developing teams are ribbing off of one another to play each other's games, which I think is really awesome. For 100 Line, I can't remember. I know it's available on Steam because I played the demo on the Steam Deck. What other consoles is it on?
Switch.
Okay.
That's why I segued.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
That's what I'm playing. That's what I'm playing it on, is the Nintendo Switch.
That makes sense.
And it since the game is 80% visual novel, 10% board game exploration, and 10% Fire Emblem combat. It's perfect for a handheld system.
That makes sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I am playing on story difficulty though, because the combat can get fucking ridiculous sometimes, and it seems cheap because story difficulty resets your health at the beginning of every round of combat. But this is a story first game, so that's what I'm here for anyways. It's a visual novel.
I'm a high advocate for a story mode in a game, especially if you're doing your first playthrough, so you can actually like enjoy the narrative.
No.
Yeah.
I know you. That's why I said I am an ad.
I want to feel the pain.
You can feel whatever pain you need to feel, Brooksy.
Yeah. No, yeah. You and Ryan can both be masochists when it comes to the challenge and all that. I want my accessibility options. I voted for Forza Horizon 5 for accessibility options that year because the game can literally be played with one finger if you want.
Seriously?
Like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But besides that, just working on other things. I did finally finish Avowed, but I think that was I mentioned that a while ago. Yeah, I finally got to meet my niece. I know I mentioned that she was born, but I did finally get to go see her last weekend and hang out. And of course, the first thing that happened when I showed up there was Dalton's dog ran out the front door, and we had to go chase her down the neighborhood.
No.
Yeah, and well, the funny thing is, she knew exactly where she was going because Lindsay's parents live like a few blocks away, and he was running to their house to go visit his friend, which is their dog. Or she was going to visit their dog. Like, she literally made a beeline. She knew exactly where she was going. She's like, took a left here, took a right here, took another left here, and there it is. You know? So
Smart dog.
Yeah. So, because, like, Dalton was on the phone with them, like, hey, Kita's headed your way, just so you know. Like, well, how convenient. At least you know where she's going, like, you know. Because good luck catching her.
Right.
Yeah, so, but I got to meet my niece, little Ren, and one of the quietest babies I've ever seen, honestly. Very, very, like, you know, didn't do much crying or anything at all. Very timid, very, very chill, actually.
Well, you know what they say about timid babies, right?
What?
They become a nightmare as toddlers. But congratulations on your knees.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, Dalton's gonna have fun.
It's technically not my problem. But
you would be surprised. My sister had her daughter
you get to
2
be
years ago, and woof, you become the favorite. They will literally call you every single night at 9 p.m. and they won't let you hang up the phone because they have to talk to their uncle or auntie before going to bedtime.
Have fun, Justin.
You get to be the fun uncle.
Oh yeah, they're gonna want to FaceTime you all the time. That's like the new generation of like nieces and nephews. They just want to FaceTime you.
Oh boy.
So look forward to that.
We'll see what happens.
Girls and their terrible twos is a nightmare.
Well, it's funny. It's funny
cute,
though.
They're cute nightmares because it's not as bad as the teenage nightmare, you know.
And Nick, you say that like it's personal experience. It felt like a trauma on your end.
What was that trauma response there?
It was a personal experience. I'm not. Don't remind me. I'm not looking forward to the teenage years.
I would have laughed so hard if it was me. I traumatized myself.
Right now, my niece has her mother's serenity, but I guess when she becomes a toddler, she'll get her father's attitude, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And then they'll want everybody but their parents, and the parents will be offended. It's really funny.
Again, have fun, brother.
Well,
Gee, thanks.
what was funny about that was after I got done meeting my niece and all that, and she went back to her mom, Dalton insisted on showing me Schedule 1 on his computer, and he was just showing me everything. Like, he is so passionate about that game.
It is fun.
But he was playing it like out of muscle memory. Dude was like, could be a Twitch streamer, I swear to Christ, because he was like,
play it blindfolded and all that.
Basically, because like he'd get these like texts from people that they want stuff, and he would just like click, clickety click, and it's down like it. I'm like, you're not even gonna take the time to read that. And he's like, no, I know who it is and what they want. They're good. I was like,
Oh my God.
oh, so
They're my
you're a
regular. I know
you're-
exactly what it is.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, this man's a full-on drug dealer. He's like, look, he's like, here's my weed house, here's my cocaine house. He's like, here's a mansion that you can't reach. He's like, here's a glitch that puts you on a bridge. That island over there, I think, is gonna be a thing in another patch. And I'm
Listen,
like, Jesus,
I mean,
I've never seen him so passionate about
We
any
all
game.
need a contingent plan if what we're currently doing doesn't work out. Dalton's got it unlocked.
Right. So yeah, basically besides that, over on YouTube I'm still straining my voice through Danganronpa. Thankfully more people are starting to die off, so I have less voices to do. That's how it works. And just an excuse for me to do voice acting, really, but because I think it's fun. But also my main Let's Play right now is the casting of Frank Stone. Figured I'd give another Supermassive game the old college try. I started recording.
It was good. I liked it.
I started recording Industria and didn't like it, so I scrapped that and did Frank Stone instead. So, but my most recent like new game Let's Play was Karma: The Dark World.
Nice.
So I've been doing that stuff, and I also put out recently a little media literacy video about why I think the industry needs more 7 out of 10 games, a little 8-minute video. Nick's watched it. I think he enjoyed it very much.
Yes.
I think it definitely spoke to him and the kind of stuff that he likes, too. So outside of that, just, usual work is busy because it's fast food. and it is stressful, and certain coworkers are, to put it bluntly, crackheads. And just do not.
That's Freeport for you.
It is. Yes, it definitely is.
If it makes you feel any better, it's not any greener in fast casual or for full service.
No. Just restaurant service industry. It hurts.
It sucks.
It hurts.
It really sucks.
Nick, you have much better things going on in life now. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, I do. So I'm not gonna say we because Sarah is the one that I will be added to the mortgage when we get married. But Sarah closed on a townhome yesterday, and we've been moving stuff in and getting things set up and ready. In fact, she's still at the house right now, finishing up painting Willow's room pink.
Okay.
That's
nice.
adorable.
And we get she's gonna love it. And finishing up with the ADT installations. We're getting ADT home security. I think as a gift from the, don't quote me, but I think it was a gift from the previous homeowners, $1,000 voucher for ADT equipment.
Oh, okay.
Oh, awesome, man.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
congratulations to you guys. That's a big move.
I saw
Yeah.
the post that Sarah made where there was like a gift basket from, I want to say, the realtor.
Yes, our real estate agent, Olivia Stedman, she's awesome. She's if y'all are ever looking for property in the Iowa area,
Olivia's our person.
Olivia is
Olivia's
your
our girl.
person. Olivia's
Alright.
your girl. She took care of us. Like when we first looked at this house, I stepped two steps into the front door, and I'm like, can we put in an offer? I'm like, I don't even need to look through the rest of the house. I'm going to, but can we put in an offer? And we went.
I don't care about the house.
Oh my
babe.
God.
You're the one.
this. We went and looked at another townhome after that, but there was something that this townhome, it the previous owners did a real good job at presenting the place. Like, they even had a note out on the counter that said, "Welcome to our home. We hope you enjoy it as much as we have." And then something along the lines of and then they had for the new homeowners, us, they left a garage camera and a doorbell camera as a gift.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, now I have to ask the question. During the open house, and this is, I promise I have a point, did the kitchen smell like cookies?
No, it did not.
Okay, because I saw this thing where sometimes people, when they're presenting like a home to be shown, will bake cookies about 20 minutes before so that the kitchen smells homey and it entices you to want to move in.
I didn't pick up on anything, but that's interesting.
That's a good sales tactic.
Oh my gosh.
Right, and then they put the cookies like actually on the kitchen for people to eat as well. So like the kitchen smells like cookies, it smells like home, you have a sweet treat, and like it apparently connects like your brain with, oh, I can make this house a home.
Right.
I wish I could have smell-o-vision for my sales calls.
Oh, and they...
What if that note they left you, Nick, has like a hidden message on it, like you hold it over a fire or
Dude,
something,
that-
and there's a hidden
there are
message.
demons on
There's
this
a-
base
there's-
board.
Don't tempt me.
Don't- yeah, there's a
Don't
hidden-
tempt me, because National Treasure is one of my favorite franchises, motherfucker.
there's-
Well, now you have
but
to do
there's
it.
a hidden. But no, it's like
Be our Nicolas
it's like a
Cage,
warning.
Nick.
It's like a warning, like you bought a haunted house and you didn't know it. They're like, don't go in the attic.
Do
you
not
know?
awaken
You'll-
the ancient spirits; they shall never leave.
Yes.
Oh, no.
That'd be
But
phenomenal.
no, they left behind quite a bit of furniture. We got the couch, the couch and the love seat, the coffee table, the TV stand, the king-size bed and bed frame upstairs in the master bedroom, both dressers. They left behind a bunch of shelving units down in the basement. It's, man.
You're not saving our case. That shit would be haunted, dude.
No.
Yeah.
No.
If they
No,
left it
it
behind?
behind because they were so eager to sell, because they already put in an offer on another
'Cause it's
house.
haunted.
They were
Oh, okay.
they,
So what you're saying is they were in a rush to get out of there.
yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Allegedly.
yeah, you're
Listen.
not helping your case.
If you hear footsteps or like
Allegedly.
knocking on a window, no, you didn't. Okay.
Enjoy the small Victorian ghost child in your new home.
I mean,
Nick's about to be the star of Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity, The
mean, it was-
Conjuring.
this townhome was
Our
built.
horror episode's just going to be Nick's house.
Oh my god, we could do. You guys could do like the Ghost Adventure style when you go to see if there's like any haunted things. Spend an overnight in the house to see if you guys can pick up on any ghost activity.
Oh man.
Yeah, Brooksy, bring an EMP when you visit Nick.
I absolutely will. I have so many of those just in backstock
It
inside
was-
our house.
I mean, the
Camera,
town-
like laser trick, the cat toys.
The townhome was built in 2004.
Doesn't mean it can't be haunted.
Yeah.
That's fair.
If anything, it's a ghost that knows how to use Google. You're in danger.
Oh, none of that crying Victorian girl crap.
No.
You know,
Oh,
no,
man.
you're dealing with modern
You're gonna
day.
deal with you're gonna deal with the
motherfuckers.
sweat.
You're dealing with a crying 90s teen. Like, it's a problem.
I'd be dealing with what was in
Keep
that
hearing Pearl Jam at 3 a.m.
that Disney Channel original movie, Smart House.
Oh my god, that's a classic.
All right. Anything else, Nick?
Yeah.
You got something.
Willow, she's got a big life update. I'm proud of this, but it's gonna be manageable because she'll be getting the help that she needs. But she is, I now have an autistic child.
I am going to say congratulations for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on that.
Now,
As somebody who grew up with really strong ADHD and like other mental health things, like, congratulations. She's going to be a wonder.
she's
I think it would be fair to say you've always had an autistic child. She's just diagnosed now.
yeah,
she's
that's
Now just
fair.
has a title.
Yeah. She's more like me than I ever knew.
I know the feeling
This-
too. High functioning autism.
Yeah,
over here.
it's like
Hell
she's
yeah.
for her social interaction skills, she's on level 1, which is on the high functioning side, like me.
Mm-hmm.
And for her level 2, it's her restrictive repetitive behaviors, and that's where the struggle is going to be.
Yeah. What I will say is I think it's wonderful that she has a parent who understands this
Yeah.
so deeply to the point where she has the perfect mentor.
I mean,
for
now-
it. So you guys were literally made for each
Now
other.
my puzzle piece tattoo has even more meaning to it.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
That's awesome, man.
I've got it's a Batman puzzle piece. It's got a bunch of the Dark Knight-esque batarangs in it. One of them, all 3 of them are colored in. The last one was left empty because some sort of a message with autism. But in between all of that are the ha-ha-has from the Joker.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really cool.
One of the things that that's for me is I want to know why, like the why behind something, and whenever I know the why, I'm usually okay. Willow's the same way. Another is I have to finish one thing before I can move on to the next.
I
You would
feel that
think
pretty
that
hard,
you
though.
wouldn't
I do too.
Yeah.
you
Otherwise I
wouldn't
won't
think
finish
you,
it.
you wouldn't think that with how I play video games, how easily I give up on something so quickly. But with other things, it's I have to finish the one thing before I move on to the next.
It's
That's
funny.
fair.
I'm the inverse of it, where like I will in my normal day-to-day life, I'll start a million tasks, maybe complete 2. But when it comes to like video games, like that's why you'll really hear me only talk about one game at a time, because if I move away from that game, it's gone. It's gone.
My pet peeve is having to be taken away from a task I started, because I will specifically plan out my day, because I know this is a problem for me, knowing that if I do not have time to currently finish this task, I'm not starting it.
Yeah.
If somebody pulls me away from something that I'm hyper focused on, I have a mini meltdown in my
Yeah, I do too.
head. I'm like, please no. I already planned this entire thing out.
Fair enough. Was there anything else, Nick, or shall we
Yes.
finish up with
one
Brooksy?
one last quick thing.
Okay.
Episode 3 of Nick and Jimmy's wrestling recaps is out. It is for Saturday night's main event. Jimmy had to work that night, so I pulled out a last minute guest and had a guest on the little side project show. Shout out Joe if you're listening.
Joe?
The next one will be for Money in the Bank on June 7th.
Awesome.
Alrighty. All right, Brooksy, bring us on home for this section.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the most prevalent thing is, today is my birthday, and I do want to say thank you all very, very much for the kind well wishes, and equally for not doing the painstakingly awful birthday song singing. I've already received it once today,
It's really time.
and once is enough for me. It's uncomfortable for everyone.
It's my turn in
Yes,
2
thank you.
weeks. Can't wait.
No,
I am not singing to you. You're
thank
welcome.
you. Thank you very, very much.
That makes both of us happy.
I love it. I'm
That
here
is their
for it.
gift.
Yes, the gift is no singing, and I will happily take that. Otherwise, today's been great. I woke up and we did a little bit of house cleaning just because we had a few people over here to celebrate not only my birthday, but Lucian's birthday as well. Their birthday was a couple weeks ago, so we get some back to back in this house with Lucian's birthday a couple weeks ago, mine today, Faye's is in a couple of weeks. But we did a little bit of cleaning around the house. There is a bakery here in San Diego that is considered the #1 bakery in the United States, called Isola. And they do 2 different things. They make sourdough bread and they make croissants. And
Phenomenal croissants.
it is, when I say it is the single greatest piece of bread you'll ever have, I do genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. Now, they know that they're the best.
I don't normally like croissants. Do you think that would?
I think this would change your opinion on it.
It's delightfully pure butter and whatever is inside of it.
Yeah, it's really good. Now, because they know that they're the best croissant in the game, they definitely charge like they're the best croissant in the game. It is for like they have like their regular one, but they have like an everything bagel seasoned one. They have like an almond, a chocolate almond. And then they do a couple seasonal ones as well. The normal flavored ones are like $10-11 per croissant. The specialty ones, because they typically have some kind of like protein inside of it, are like $15 to $17 for one single croissant.
Jesus.
But it's stuff like bibimbap croissants and like muffletta croissants.
Yes.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I y'all know that I grew up in the South, and I ate a lot of Cajun and Creole food, especially after Katrina and so many people from Louisiana moving to the DFW area. Muffalata is one of my favorite sandwiches. It's kind of just like some like cured Italian meats, like an olive tapenade, some aioli, some like lettuce, tomato on bread, and they basically did all of that, but on the inside of the croissant. Dude, holy shit, that was the best the best croissant I've ever had, and of course it came from Isola, because it used to be the everything bagel season was my favorite. Now I will happily spend $16 on one croissant. And I will say I was like full after just that one. So it's very filling. But we did that, got stuff set up for the party. We made it kind of, because it was a Lucian and Brooksy party. Lucian wanted something sword themed. They looked at me and was like, "Hey, what do you want?" And I just chuckled and said, "Yank my pizzle," which is a reference to Kingdom Come Deliverance. So it's been we did like a kind of a medieval themed party. We had some games. I got to introduce Dice, which has now been renamed as Rollies from Faye, which is a game that you kind of play inside of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Very
It's
similar.
addicting.
Yeah,
It's
it's like Gwent in The Witcher 3, but it's a dice game.
You kicked my ass multiple times.
I had like just a god run. I had an absolute god run where I
you
was.
thought I was gonna have a god run and you took
I
over.
get
I know.
it. I became addicted to Queen's Blood in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
was
So
very-
it was.
yeah.
So we did that. And we did did like birthday song. We did pie instead of cake.
Nice.
It's been a really great day today.
Wait.
What's up?
What kind of pie?
So here in Southern California, about 45 minutes east of us, is a little town called Julian, and they're incredibly well known for their pies, specifically their apple pies. They do it only in Southern California, but you can buy a frozen pie from them that you just pop in the oven at home.
And you like basically bake it yourself.
Yeah, you just bake it yourself, but it's their recipe and ingredients and everything. So we have
they
an
ship
apple crumble
them?
pie. Yes, they
Yes, they
can.
do.
And I'm telling you, dude, this apple pie is the shit. Like, it's so good.
I'm so glad
Send
you
me
said
the
something
details.
normal like apple
I will.
and
I will.
not something wild like rhubarb,
So
Well,
I
they
do.
do
They do have a
strawberry
strawberry
rhubarb.
rhubarb.
It's
It
good.
is really good. I will say, as much as I love the apple crumble, my favorite one that they actually do is called a mountain berry, and it's a mixture of raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, and apple.
That
and it's
sounds
with a crumble topping.
that's my kind of flavor.
that sounds orgasmic.
so good. It really is.
God.
Some
Like,
Food Wars style shit, I tell you.
like absolute shout out to Julian Pie Company. They have a competition called Moms. It's not worth it. You want to go to Julian Pie Company. It is. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, so we did that today. Otherwise, like since we last got together, I guess two things really. One, I finished work yesterday and I went to go and grab a drink. It was like a birthday celebration, also just to get to meet each other in person. One of my coworkers, because I work remotely, we FaceTime on Teams all the time, but he only lives 20 minutes away, so we got together and hung out for a little bit. That was great. However, when I got back in my car, I noticed I was having some weird like flickering on the lights, and then all of a sudden my entertainment system shut off, and then all of a sudden my power steering light came on and I didn't have power steering anymore.
Uh-oh.
So I pulled over and turned the car off and tried to turn it back on, and it would not turn on. And a quick little ChatGPT search, because I'm terrible with cars. 99.99% certain I have a crap alternator. This car I actually bought about a month ago. And it was from one of my wife's coworkers, and they told us if anything comes up with it, like, let them know, they'll help us. And like, this coworker is an amazing person, and I know they would never do anything like that to us. But it was just bad timing. So got to do tow service. I made a joke to the tow guy as soon as he rolled up, being like, "Hey man, tomorrow's my birthday. You got any discounts for me?" And I have to take a perspective into play because he's a tow driver, so people are never excited to see a tow truck driver and probably gets yelled at all day. And he was like, "Oh, no, sir, I'm so sorry. I don't have anything in our company policy." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, no, I'm so sorry. I was just trying to make it funny. No, I'm not actually upset. Like, I promise, we're
That's
good."
a joke.
And what's funny is like he and I just ribbed throughout the whole experience. He ended up giving me a birthday discount too, which was super cool. It was only $125, which is oddly very cheap for a tow.
Kindness gets you everywhere. I'll keep saying it. You'll catch more with honey.
I know.
You know?
Sam thinks it's so weird that I get things like this happen all the time. I'm like, I don't know. I just try to make jokes.
Tell her, look, I'm Ryan Reynolds and life is free guy.
Yeah, 100%.
I would have refuted back. I've been like, actually, yeah, birthday boys get charged double.
I would have been like, you know what? That's fair. That's what I get for asking the question. But no, I mean, it was a bad moment, but it ended up being kind of like lighthearted towards the end of it. So that happened yesterday. Other thing is, I finally, after like 6 years, have left the iPhone universe and have returned back to the Galaxy world, and I have a brand new Galaxy S25 Ultra. I've had to apologize to everyone for the green bubbles moving forward.
Piss, boo.
I know. We have a group chat for the whole house. And
welcome back to the side of open source software and
really
not being restricted behind arbitrary bullshit.
It is really nice.
Hey,
and
I
will
like
say
that
one of the first
arbitrary
things
bullshit.
It is, dude.
You
is
like it
comforting.
because you like it because it's designed to be easy to use.
It's
easy.
simple and it's easy, and you
It's
don't really
easy,
need to
simple,
work.
mindless. Like I get why people like iPhones. I had one for 6 years. Like I had the iPhone 12 since 2019.
Welcome back to Google and
just got-
YouTube.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So I'm back to Samsung. I will say one of the first things I did is because this is like the top of the line version of the S25. Like this phone actually can support 120 hertz of output, which is really cool to see. I immediately hopped onto Xbox onto my Game Pass and hooked up my Xbox controller to it. I played Forza on it for like 20-30 minutes, and it ran really well. And I'm like, this is so annoying and so cool at the same time. And I say annoying because I have a Steam Deck, yet my phone can do the same thing now.
Yeah.
I know. I will say the Steam Deck is definitely way more worth it. But yeah, I mean, everything's been going well. Work's been really good this week for me. I booked another candidate, which is really exciting. I have a brand new client that I'm working with out of Arizona that I am super excited. I love the woman from HR. Yeah, no, I mean, everything's like, yeah, I had some hiccups with the car and all of that. We'll get it figured out. I still have my old car that still, kind of runs.
It breathes.
It breathes, It
Which actually might be the problem.
yeah. I will say, my wife has wanted me to get rid of that car for the longest time, and while we were waiting for the tow truck driver to get to us, I just looked at her and I was like, how's it feel knowing that the old car that you hate outlasted this one? She was like, please don't bring that up to me right now. Oh, please don't bring that up to me right now.
No.
How dare you?
To put it from his wife's perspective, we had been out all day at grocery stores just trying to find ingredients for a dinner that we're doing tomorrow. And we had just gotten home and we were both exhausted and her phone rang.
Yeah. And before all of this, she works for like a third-party contract IT group for San Diego County's government. Pretty much like everyone on her team is on PTO or on paternity leave. So she's been by herself working, getting just totally ass blasted.
She's covering for like 4 different people.
Ran around for groceries for a few hours. Just got home and I call her and I'm like, "Yep, the car is poop."
Like I've had less set me off on a day.
Yeah,
Like,
she had a rough day. She had a rough day. We'll try to make it better. But yeah, that's been. I want to try to keep it a little on the short and sweet side. But yeah, that's been pretty much what I've been up to on my end.
Nice.
Alrighty. All right. Well, with all that in mind, that'll wrap it up for the small talk and life updates. And we are going to go ahead and transition into this episode's topic, specifically handpicked by the birthday boy.
Thanks.
Let's go.
All right.
You shall not pass!
All right, everybody. Here we are at this episode's topic. And, before we get into it, I have a surprise for the birthday guy. My gift to you, Brooksy, is that for the rest of this episode, for the entire topic and media corner up until the outro, once we get to the outro, it expires. But for the rest of this episode until then, you're the host now.
Oh.
So you get to lead the topic. You get to decide what we talk about in what order. You get to throw out the talking points and questions for us to respond to. And when we hit the media corner, you decide the order we go in.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
With great power comes great
Yeah.
responsibility.
Okay, great. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, cool. I think I can make that happen. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to pick fantasy just because of all forms of entertainment, whether it be through books, movies, TV shows, video games, and all their alternative mediums. Fantasy's always been my favorite thing. Like ever since I was a little kid, I very vividly remember being like 8-9 years old when I went to go see Lord of the Rings in theaters on opening night with my grandpa, and I immediately fell in love with this type of world. And I understand that one's more kind of on the higher fantasy side of things, but I've come to love all forms, whether it be high fantasy, whether it be dark fantasy, whether it be things that fall into more of the magical realms of things like Harry Potter and all of that. I kind of want to do like a kind of quick round of doing things like talking about our favorite movie, our favorite TV show, our favorite book that is within the fantasy world, and then and favorite video game as well, and then just kind of ending with talking just about something in fantasy that's something near and dear to us. How's that sound to y'all?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's your show now.
All right, cool. Well, listen,
Honestly, literally no one knew I was going to do this. I didn't even tell Nick.
I had no idea.
Huge surprise to me too.
I appreciate you allowing me to take the reins on this. Yeah, let's go in. I kind of want to go in easy on it. I want to start with our favorite fantasy movie or movie series, because I know that there are so many that have more than just one. You know what? I'm from the newest hostess with the mostest to the general hostess with the mostest. Justin, tell me about your favorite fantasy movie.
it's probably good. It's a cliche answer, but it's probably the Lord of the Rings series.
Yeah.
I don't know in terms of like fantasy movie series, if anything besides that has ever been I've ever been as big on. Like you know what? Actually,
Well, you got something else in mind?
it might Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is a good one.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
like it. It's like a not deep cut, like because I would have never thought that be like on the forefront of my mind for fantasy, but you're absolutely right. Like I when I think of Pirates of the Caribbean, I always think of just that epic scene of them fighting in a cyclone, like the battleship that's going on.
In the third
Is the
movie,
movie like
right?
In the third movie, yeah, that's what I think
They're
of the first time.
fighting.
I might be on an island, pun intended,
Isn't it
but
Davy Jones?
but I think the third movie's actually my favorite.
It's great.
I'm sorry,
But
Faye.
it's Charybdis, right? Who's the monster in the sea
I think maybe.
with like the teeth and the cyclone? I'm a huge nerd when it comes to mythology.
Oh, okay.
Calypso.
I was gonna say in the
Mythology.
movie they just called it a kraken. Calypso is the goddess of the sea, and she created the storm in the third movie.
Okay.
Gotcha. So it's specifically Calypso's storm.
Yes.
I don't know why
Yeah.
I thought they included Charybdis in one of the Pirates.
No,
of the
but that was a good
Caribbean
one.
movies.
Yeah, no. Tia Dalma was Calypso. That was.
I do remember that. Yeah, she did an excellent job.
Nice.
One of
Yeah.
my favorite interpretations of Calypso, honestly, because usually she's interpreted as like a starry-eyed goddess who was trapped on her island, forced to fall in love with any man who boarded.
I love it. No,
I mean,
that's awesome.
They basically had a lot of like pirate-based mythology in there, which I think
Mm-hmm.
falls under fantasy. They got the Kraken, they got Davy Jones' locker, Davy Jones himself,
Yeah.
Salazar,
Blackbeard.
and Blackbeard had some. Yeah, but Blackbeard was a real person, but in this world, he's got like supernatural powers. So it's
Yeah.
different.
And then Calypso was taken originally from the Odyssey.
Yeah. Yep. And hey, there you got your Greek and Roman mythology. It all ties.
Yeah.
It all ties nicely together.
No, that
Yeah,
makes,
I think
that
I
makes
might
sense.
I might actually have to say Pirates of the Caribbean. I love Jack Sparrow. I love the stuff. It's the movies do go downhill after the third one, but it's like, I mean,
They're still fun to watch.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
It's
the
entertaining.
only other the reason my instinct says Lord of the Rings first though is because the original
it's
trilogy
what pulled you in.
The original trilogy is consistently good, like across
Yeah.
all three movies.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
not a lull to be had, especially the extended editions, which are probably the closest to the books of any adaptation I've ever seen. So
No, that fully tracks for me. That makes sense.
I think I cheated by giving two
I-
answers, but
No. I mean,
Oh, no.
I firmly
was gonna-
believe that Johnny Depp is just waiting on an apology from Disney before they move forward doing a sixth film. Like it was initially supposed to be 6 movies.
yeah.
Yeah, well, if you
Yeah.
if you look up Pirates of the Caribbean franchise on Google, it still has like the title of that sixth form looming, as if it's still coming.
Yeah.
You never
You
know.
never know.
You never know. Awesome, man.
I'd be down.
Any extra thing?
looming like the black pearl in the mist.
I was gonna say, Nick, I want to hear from you. What you got for your favorite fantasy movie
Ooh.
or series?
Or series. I would have to say it falls in the history comedy. Or
Okay.
not necessarily not history history comedy. Fantasy comedy.
Okay.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh my God! You want to know someone who just watched that recently for the first time?
knights who say me.
I actually recently watched that movie for the first time.
Oh, that's amazing.
And here's the fun thing, because art and entertainment is entirely subjective. Because I know, Nick, that's your favorite fantasy movie. Faye, how did you feel about Monty Python?
I thought it was fun. I am not a huge fan of dry British humor.
It's funny because there's literally a Family Guy cutaway at some point where, like, they're torturing Meg they tie her up to a chair and make her watch Monty Python, and on the TV you can hear them say something like, "This is my pet armadillo." It goes sproing, or some shit like that, you know? And like, and Meg's like, "I'm a girl. I don't even like the good Monty Python sketches." Like,
I think, like, for it being, like, my very first, I guess, real first, like, I've tried to, I think I've seen clips of it, and when it came to things of, like, dry British humor, like Old Greg, I just could not, like, I space out.
Grammy. Grammy and delicious.
Fair enough.
Wait,
I
Am I
am
allowed to-
like absolutely baffled that Nick didn't say Harry Potter.
I really thought that's where you were going.
Yeah, like, I would've bet money on it.
Am I allowed to change my answer?
Yeah, you can change your answer.
The national.
No, you know what? No.
National Treasure, is this where we're...
National.
I mean-
the National Treasure series. I
mean, Nicolas Cage is a pretty fantastical person,
It's
so
a very fun series.
so. Recently,
Those movies are definitely the Pirates of the Caribbean of Indiana Jones movies.
yes,
I would
If you know what I'm
I
saying.
would agree with you on that.
I
I see what you mean. I feel that.
recently have been watching National Treasure Edge of History, the series that they're doing that they have on Disney Plus, and I just had put it on for myself to pass time, but Willow really, like, she's into it, and I couldn't be proud and happier because she is sharing she's sharing an interest with me.
That's really
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah,
And that's a pretty. I would say, even though they're like PG-13, it's still a pretty family safe movie.
yeah, it really is. I think
Yeah, and a great way to start is reading the books.
There's books. Oh,
Well, you just decided Nick's next Amazon purchase.
Whoa, I heard that brain blast from here. I was watching Jimmy Neutron. It was
there's
fantastic.
books.
I love it. I love it.
No.
He did a quick take. He did one of those. Hold on.
No, I think I'm gonna, when I'm done watching the show with her, I'm gonna show her the movies. I think she'll appreciate
Yeah.
them.
I love it.
Appreciate them just as much as I do. Like, I've gone back and watched them countless times.
That's awesome. I love that. What was I gonna say? Faye, I'd like to hear.
Well, oh boy, because do I have a deep cut for you guys. This is based purely off nostalgia and probably one of the movies that got me into fantasy at a young age. It is the 2007 romantic fantasy adventure film Stardust.
Knew it.
Nice.
Oh,
I knew it.
You know,
I
when
knew
you
it.
said throwback and nostalgia, for some reason I thought you were gonna. The first thing that popped into my head was The Secret of Nymph.
That's a
Ooh,
classic.
Great movie.
And, like, don't get me wrong, I was a huge fan of Arthur the Invisibles, The Secret of the Nymph, stuff like that. But Stardust was just one of those movies that was eye-opening for me. You know, me and my sister went to Blockbuster.
Oh, man.
It was a movie that was on sale. We picked it up, and we never returned
Oh
it.
no.
This is a story of love of a new franchise
This
or
is
really
my
world,
life of crime.
and also a story
Or
of
why
theft.
they went out of business.
Absolutely. No, but, like, it was just this beautiful, like, there's 3 separate plots going on at the same time in this one movie, which my ADHD loved first and foremost. And I also just felt such a connection to all the different plots and that sense of adventure that, like, I hadn't seen in a live action movie, which is the important thing here. Because you see a lot of cartoons like The Black Cauldron, and, like, Disney is easy to find something that's going to have a fantasy that's going to connect to you. But seeing it for the first time at a young age, live action, a movie like that, where you genuinely forgot you were watching a movie and got so immersed. It just, the nostalgia hits so hard for me in Stardust, and I do a yearly rewatch of it once a year.
I love it. No, and what's funny, I had never even heard of Stardust until I think 2 years ago, because Lucian's partner, Allie, who I've lived with for the past several years, that's probably her favorite fantasy movie herself, and introduced
she has great taste.
Yeah, it is a good movie. It was I when I saw RDJ, I was like, what is happening right now? Like, I don't.
Oh yeah, that cast is insane. We have Claire
yeah.
Danes, we have Michelle Pfeiffer, we have Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, it's a stacked lineup for a movie I would have never imagined seeing. Oh God, so good. So, and I want to let everyone know, the reason why I had everyone go first before me is because I have been struggling. I've been struggling with this thought, because I knew we were going to talk about movies and other things of what my favorite is. Because, like, the easy given answer, kind of like what you were looking at, Justin, is Lord of the Rings. Like, that is what introduced me really deeply into fantasy.
It is the objectively correct answer.
It is. It's the definitive fantasy answer. And I'm like, do I want to go with? I was like, do I want to go with a deep cut, and it's a bad take, but it's also a movie that's like a guilty pleasure for me of the 2000s Van Helsing movie.
Nice.
Is something that popped up in my head. That, like, do I want to be ironic, and not even ironic, because I do love the movie franchise. I was even thinking Twilight there for a moment. And what it ended up kind of boiling down for me was two different movies, one of which was Godzilla -1, which I love that movie. And this
I may have to veto. I think Godzilla is sci-fi.
You really think Godzilla's sci-fi? Because I'm thinking giant mythical creatures.
Kaiju,
That's the thing. That's where
It depends the movie, honestly.
Yeah, and that's
Godzilla
right that line.
Yeah, it's on that line, and that's why I was like, I don't want to be this. This very well it could very well be, because of recency bias. Sinners. I think Sinners has become my favorite fantasy film, because it deals with a lot of Southern folklore magic, and it deals with vampires and the things that go bump in the night. And I know I've touted about this movie quite a bit to both, really all three of y'all. It is that good of a movie. It really is that good of a movie that I want everyone to be able to watch. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna plug in Sinners for this.
Heck yeah.
It's got that interview with a vampire, but just way cooler vibe to it.
Fantastic show, by the way.
Yeah, like way cooler. And I don't even want to say less sexy, because I don't know if you've ever seen Michael B. Jordan, but good lord.
Yeah, folklore and vampires is definitely a fantasy thing.
And that's the thing, is like we've all kind of gone like a different route with it, but we still have like traditional high fantasy with the Stardust choice. Mm-hmm. We've got pirates, like I wanted to kind of just get like a full encapsulation of different forms of fantasy, which is why I kind of made the last second decision on Sinners.
Because fantasy
to be
doesn't
fair,
necessarily not mean contemporary.
To be fair, also Pirates of the Caribbean has magic and mermaids and stuff like that. So that it and I mean,
it was we hit all the genres really.
Yeah.
Nick's original Monty Python entry is like Renaissance, medieval stuff. You know, I
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, because they, like the Black Knight being one of the main characters of that and everything.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Tis a flesh wound.
Because there's not an immense amount of like, there are a fair amount of options, but not a fair amount of options. I kind of want to combine the two of TV shows / books for each of y'all, like choosing between a book or a TV show. I'd love to hear.
There are assloads of fantasy books out there. What do you mean?
There are assloads of books, but there's not assloads of TV shows. Well, no, there are ass loads of TV shows. Yeah, I'm
I
just.
will dispute you.
I know. I just want to make sure we have enough time to talk about games and
That's fair.
other
We'll get
mediums
there.
as well. So that's.
I don't mind combining them. It's just gonna be two completely different
I know.
choices.
I know.
No, fair.
I'm a
You know,
terrible
you're
person.
good. You're good. I know my answer to both. Honestly,
I think I know as well.
Oh, then we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we want to give just a back-to-back quick fire. Faye, I went with you last, so I'll have you go first on this round.
Yeah, I'll start with the TV show. There's honestly a lot of things that I hyperfixated on from the past to now, and I could easily say things like Supernatural. I would say Doctor Who, but I feel like that's sci-fi. I think the show that was actually a more recent development for me that we watched together was Agatha All Along.
Agatha All Along. I didn't even think of that. That's a good choice. It was
That's
a
a fun one.
weirdly good show.
It was fun. It was funky. It was very refreshing.
Yeah.
To see kind of like a new way that witches fit into the Marvel universe.
Yeah, that's fair.
And introducing like kind of like a different source of magic there.
Yeah.
The actors who were in it did phenomenally.
I love it.
Very quickly became an inspiration for me when it came to like TV shows. The other easy one is Once Upon a Time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
you cannot take Once Upon a Time away from me.
That's a good choice.
Well, that was gonna be mine.
I'll let you talk about it because I'm 100% choosing Agatha All Along for my favorite. I will let you touch on Once Upon a Time. I'm gonna move on to books though. I have to give a shout out to A Court of Thorns and Roses series.
Yes, ACOTAR.
ACOTAR.
Oh man, fun fact, guys. I've actually read the first 3 ACOTAR books. And as I was reading them, I kept looking over at my wife, who devoured those books, being like, "You've been reading porn this whole time."
First of all, I rescind that statement because there's only one scene in the first book.
Yeah, well, okay, sorry, softcore porn.
Thank you. But the whole point is the actual world that Sarah J. Maas built, the fantasy world of Prythian, even though I do 100% believe she got a lot of inspiration from the Black Cauldron, because if you watch that movie and read the books back to back, there's so much similar to the main enemy, as well as the cauldron itself and some of the phrases that are used. But her world that she created in her series of A Court of Thorns and Roses is very extensive. It brings in the Fae like culture, which is the elemental fairies versus the dark fairies, and it's really interesting being able to touch on a little bit of actual Fae mythology in a fantasy book that isn't super inaccurate,
Okay.
which I really appreciate.
I love it.
Not often do you really get to see the Fae courts separated well, and living in a world that brings together some of like the best series. Like you get the action like you would from the Hunger Games, you get the romance aspect, you get the fantasy, you get magic. Like you really get a little bit of everything in that series, and
That's
they give
fair.
you a ton of lore and a map.
You know what? That's fair. No, both great choices. Justin, I know you were mentioning Once Upon a Time, so I feel like it's appropriate to kick it over to you.
Yeah, so that was gonna be my TV show choice, which it still is, and that was a show that it started off pretty simple about the evil queen from Snow White trapping an entire town of fairy tale people in the real world so that she can rule over them as the mayor. And where it goes from that just goes all kinds of places. And they deal with some pretty lore accurate, like it's obvious because it was an ABC show that most of their inspiration is drawn from Disney primarily, but they took characters like Peter Pan, for example, and made them a bit more lore accurate, where like, because in this show Hook is a good guy and Pan is not, you know, and it's just one of many examples. And they dealt with a little bit more than just Disney. Like at one point they bring in Elphaba from Wicked as one of the characters.
The Wizard of Oz makes a
Or
bit
Wizard
of
of
a
Oz,
thing
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
agree with you on that.
I need to go back and
it's-
rewatch this.
The Peter Pan arc is absolutely insane, and if you read the original book, I agree with you that in Once Upon a Time it is a more accurate representation of who Peter Pan is. He is a neutral, chaotic entity, though in the show they portray him a little bit more as evil, but he is also somebody who's in Neverland, trapping kids in Neverland. And originally when J.M. Barrie wrote the book of Peter Pan, Peter Pan was supposed to be an angel of death luring kids
Oh
to
my
heaven.
god, I didn't know any of that. Okay.
And he was basically the main antagonist of at least half a season.
Season 2 into season 3. It was he was
Yeah.
and he kept
And
going.
there's a little bit of a different threat every now and then, and they end up like visiting different locations from different like popular fairy tales like Wonderland and Oz. And I think they visit Agrabah at one point, actually.
They visit Agrabah, they visit Neverland. There's the classic Enchanted Forest.
Ah, okay.
Arendelle.
But yeah, they visited Arendelle from Frozen 2, I think.
Yes.
In there.
Awesome.
That was like in the later seasons. But then they also, like, I will say I didn't love how the final season started, but I loved how it ended. Like, I think that show has like one of the best endings, like most satisfying endings I've ever seen.
Did you ever watch the Wonderland spinoff?
I did.
I haven't watched it yet personally, but what was like your overall opinion of it?
I don't remember that much about it. I mean, I think it's pretty telling that it got canceled after one season.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But you know, that show. But like, also by the way, won't get into it, but special shout out to an underrated show that a lot of people forgot about and was lost too soon. Grimm, which was about a cop who was a descendant of the brothers Grimm, and he could see if people were fairy tale creatures, he could see them for what they really were, and
that's really cool.
It helped him solve murders and stuff too. I liked it. It had a bit of a supernatural vibe to it, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. As far as books, I think since I didn't give it to movie, I'm gonna have to go with Lord of the Rings here.
That's fair.
That's a good call.
It's got to go somewhere. It was gonna either be that or the Chronicles of Narnia. So.
Oh, great series.
Yeah. So, and the writers were friends. So. Yeah, and Lord of the Rings, when I first read it, that's heavy reading for someone at my age at that time, and with all the old English words and stuff. But I got through it, and I really loved them. What's up?
I had the Fellowship. I had the Fellowship of the Ring book growing up.
I had all three of them, and I read all three of them, and like I love how the movies, the extended versions, put in a lot of the stuff from the books that weren't there before. And some things changed, like the encounter with Shelob is in the third movie instead of the second one, whereas it was in the second book. But that's also because the third book is long as shit. Like, if you thought the movie had, like, 7 different endings, the book has 13. Like, it is...
Christ.
Yeah. Like, there's a whole bit that would have added, like, an extra hour to the movie if they put it in, where they go back to the Shire and the mayor is possessed by Saruman, and they have to take care of that.
And you know what? We would have watched it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I distinctly remember that, though. But, yeah,
I remember seeing Fellowship of the Ring in theaters as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, definitely the books, because, like, if you love the movies, then you'll probably love the books, too, because they are the movies, but with way more context and extra shit in them, like, more stuff. So, yeah, that's gonna be my 2.
Awesome, man. I love it.
Great choices.
What is it? You know what? I'll go ahead and go forward. For me, TV show, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to apologize for this. I am going to go with the low-hanging fruit. I did absolutely, through and through to my core, loved the Game of Thrones series. Like, genuinely, absolutely.
I knew someone was going to say Game of Thrones.
Somewhat, that's the thing. I knew it was low-hanging fruit, and I'm just like, I'm sitting here and thinking of every fantasy show I've ever watched, and just every time I'm like, no, I just even with, and it's kind of like the inverse of what you experienced with Once Upon a Time, where the final, everyone knows that the final season of Game of Thrones was left to be desired. If they had ended that just a season sooner and maybe just made a few tweaks, that would have been
finished with like one final movie.
Yeah, like just it would have been totally serviceable doing that. But I make this joke to my wife all the time. With
instead, you got a prequel season.
Yeah, right. Yay, House of the Dragon. And it's not a bad show. It's just very dark and quiet. And not dark in like a narrative sense, dark in like I can barely tell what's happening on the screen sense.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, the lighting's weird on House of the Dragon. But I don't know. I just, when I think of like a show that I was just so enthralled with and just love the world and love the characters and love the dynamics and just it's one of those very few things, kind of like The Last of Us, where no one's safe. No one is safe. You don't know what turn, because who you think is going to be the main protagonist / antagonist in season 1, you know, they may not even make it through that season. Like, it was just such a well done show and such a well done series. It's incredibly unfortunate that George R.R. Martin, if you're listening, which I highly doubt, but if you are, please release the final book. I feel like if we had the actual full story, it would have been a masterpiece of a TV show.
It's Brooksy's birthday. You have to release the final book.
Yeah, please, George R. R. Martin. It's my birthday. If, for whatever reason, if you're listening to this.
Begging and pleading on our knees.
What a wild
yes.
take.
Our regular listener and biggest fan, George R.R. Martin.
Yep.
That's why he hasn't finished the books. Too busy listening to
Too
this
busy.
show.
Yeah, we got long podcasts. So sorry. That's
season 3, you know?
that's on us. My bad, man. Yeah, I love that. As far as book, again, kind of on the recency bias thing, there was a book that I read earlier at the beginning of this year, called Blood Over Bright Haven. It's by a author called R.F. Kuang. The first book that they had written was is something called The Sword of Kaigan, that is incredibly popular on like Book Talk and everything else. I've really wanted to read it, but I am a sucker for a good hardcover. They made a very limited batch of hardcovers, and then they just like a few months ago announced doing another small batch of hardcovers, so I have to wait until the end of this year to get to read that one. I know, but it's a singular book that's like about 500 pages, like nothing too crazy or out of the world. It's not a Brandon Sanderson book or anything like that. It's a fairly relatively easy read. There's a lot of queer representation in the book. It is a female protagonist, so I'm sure Woke Mob will be so thrilled with that concept already. But it's an incredibly well thought, meticulous, like borderline analytical version of a scope at magic, and looking at it in like almost like in a crunching numbers kind of a way, with a lot of great build up to like who ends up being the big baddie and everything else, and just the level of sacrifice for the world and the community, and it's just, oh god, it's I consumed that book I think in like 2 days, and like I still talk about that book. Like I couldn't recommend that one higher enough. Yeah, I guess that would be my my TV show and my book. Nick, what you got for me?
So for TV show, I'm gonna go with the Percy Jackson show that they have on Disney+.
I knew it. Yes.
Honestly, it's good.
It's
I made a
better
bet
than
with
the
myself.
movies.
I made a bet with myself and I won.
It's faithful to the book.
Yes.
I cannot wait for season 2.
It's funny, so I know I'm like the fantasy person. I mean, all of us here are fantasy people, but like I've actually never gotten into anything Percy Jackson related. Never seen the movies, never read the books, never.
Don't bother with the movies.
Okay,
the show is
movies,
superior.
if you've never read the books, don't feel that bad.
Okay.
Start with the TV show.
Okay.
Do yourself a favor and
if
start with the TV show.
If you don't want to dedicate yourself to the books quite yet, start with the TV show.
Because aren't there like a shitload of books?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
There's a lot of them, but they're short.
Oh, okay.
But I would say like start with the TV show because it's going to give you an idea of what you're getting involved with. Besides Outlander, I feel like this Percy Jackson TV show is the closest representation to a book I've seen in a very long time.
Okay. Cool.
And then for my
Awesome.
for my book, I'm gonna go with a series.
Okay.
It didn't get the movie spot, so Harry Potter.
Here we go. Yeah.
Harry freaking Potter.
Yeah, there we go. I knew it had to squeeze in somewhere.
Sure.
First off, I want to say fuck J.K. Rowling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Goddamn turf.
Yeah. She's still getting my money though. I don't.
She's not getting my money. I ain't gonna lie. I got my books. I got my movies. She ain't getting shit from me.
I think it's one of those things. It's like at this point you need to separate the art from the artist, because it's like
Yes.
even when they made the video game,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
put a picture of J.K. Rowling burning in the
They did.
actual.
Yes,
I know
I
they
did. See, I did
and
find
that was
that.
awesome. I will say, like, because dude, when that game came out, like, there was all the controversy circulating around it. I ended up buying the game, but I bought a used copy of it, so that way I knew JK wasn't going to see a penny from me. I equally donated to 2 different trans organizations as well, just the equal amount that I spent on it, just to try to. It was to make myself feel better about feeling bad about wanting to enjoy a piece of media that I've loved since I was a child, and it sucks that one person can really just tarnish everything.
And like, you know what was going on at Twitch, right? That it's like anybody who tried to stream the game, there was people going around blacklisting them so that they were getting basically so much hate that they were having to remove their channels.
She really did create an incredible world, and I love Harry Potter. Like, as much as I hate her, I'm gonna be a Ravenclaw until I die, and I recognize that. Like, of course, you're a Gryffindor.
Don't say that with disdain.
I'm a Gryffindor or a Hufflepuff. It just depends on the day.
Depends on the quiz, right?
That's right. It depends on the
Exactly.
quiz. What about you,
Yep.
Justin?
If I had to guess, considering I was Team Mystic on Pokemon, I would probably be a Ravenclaw.
That's fair.
Not only because of the color blue, but they strike me as the intellectual loners of the bunch. So that's
Intellectual,
definitely,
yes. Loners, not so much. So the people who are actually smarter than they seem, and I need to like stand by my Slytherins here.
Yeah, Slytherins do get a lot
Slytherins
of
are
slander.
cunning as hell.
Yeah,
Sarah's a
my little
Slytherin.
brother's a Slytherin, and I give him shit about it just because he's my brother.
You
but
shouldn't.
it's
Slytherins
it's just
are
because he's my
bullies.
brother. Like,
No. They're bullies. There's very specific Slytherins we meet in Hogwarts, which is 3 specific, maybe 4, who are actually bullies. We haven't met any of the other Slytherins. We're basing our bias on like a couple people, which is a little rude.
No, it's called the
I-
Legion of Doom for a reason.
Well, it's just like most people I've known in life that I did, like are in the Slytherin house, like
Yeah.
in real life.
I think those are the people who
have-
misinterpret the Slytherin house, because they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be evil, I'm gonna be bad. I'm like, that's not what it's about.
But it's not so much that it wasn't evil or bad. They're just very abrasive, and I don't mesh well with that.
Edgy.
Yeah, that's fair. No edgelords around here.
A little bit of a callback to a previous episode. I ended up getting Sarah a Harry Potter book set for her birthday, but the Slytherin edition, since she's a
Nice,
she's
nice.
a
That's
Slytherin.
adorable.
Um,
I'm just saying Slytherins get a bad rep. Not all of them are like
Yeah.
that,
It-
okay?
let me-
Sarah, I would like to go ahead and apologize for the Slytherin slander when you do listen to this.
Yeah, apologize. Rude. And the Gryffindor slander.
I'm
You're making
gonna-
a lot of
Oh,
enemies
that's just
today.
oh, that's
I'm
just
gonna
because
play
I like
devil's
teasing you,
advocate
dude.
here because I've been given this
Okay.
perspective from another friend of mine, Justin. You know her, Sarah. You know her, Asher. Malfoy is misunderstood. Like Draco is massively misunderstood.
No, he's an
He
abused,
was
traumatized
raised
child
by-
with a shitty dad.
He was.
He's a product of his raising.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he is the way he is.
I mean, that being said, we did get the perfect way to pronounce the letter P out of that kid.
Yes.
Potter.
Wait till my father hears about this.
Speaking of Draco Malfoy, my understanding, he is the only OG cast member from the movies that is returning to do something different for the HBO series. that
Really?
they're doing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Really?
Or
Well,
I- Or something along the. Oh wait, no, he something either that or he actually had a hand in opening up the Harry Potter store in downtown Chicago recently.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, you know who recently helped open the Epic Universe Harry Potter? The actors who played the twins.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I
really
did see
last
I
that.
did see that, and
I
Warwick
did see
Davis
that on TikTok.
Warwick Davis
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
No, I will. I got mixed feelings on that show.
I will say, I had an absolute blast the year I went down to Florida to visit my dad, and he took me to Universal, and I got to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Dude,
It's pretty cool.
It's life-changing.
Standing on the grounds of Hogwarts was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, and you know how like they do the Ollivanders tour and like one kid gets picked? I was that kid who got picked to get her wand.
that's so
And you
cool.
don't know what that did to me at the
Yeah.
age of 14.
The ego. The
Not
absolute
the
ego.
I was in tears. I was humbled.
I was the chosen one.
I felt so chosen and so seen. And then it's like, it's such a trap though, because now the parents have to buy you that wand.
Oh, yeah.
They can't not do it.
I've got. If you look on my Facebook, I've got a whole photo album dedicated to my trip to Universal.
Yeah.
But
There really is just something so different about stepping into a fantasy
I got
world
my
like
I
that.
got
Oh,
my
yeah.
picture
100%.
taken in front of the Hogwarts Express train.
Yeah.
Oh,
So cool.
That's a classic. I have a photo
Yeah.
of that somewhere as well.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is.
That's
Man.
awesome.
I almost got
It
kicked
was-
out of the park for looking too much like Hermione Granger, though. I'm not even kidding. They told me if kids started asking to take pictures with me, and I was stopped by some employees, and they're like, if you start signing autographs, because the autographs are owned by Warner Brothers, we will have to escort you out of
Yeah.
Uh,
the park.
Awesome. No, dude, thank you for sharing all of that. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, all across the board, they're all great books. They're all great movies or TV shows and movies that we've chosen so far. I'm a sucker for a great video game. That's why I left this one for last outside of other mediums. I am so excited to hear about y'all's choices on favorite fantasy games. Nick, I know you were last round, and I'm gonna have you go first in this round. Tell me
man.
a bit about your favorite fantasy game.
oh man, there's so many. I was not prepared for this.
Oh, I mean,
Give me.
Faye,
Yeah, sorry.
you want to take a crack at it?
Yeah,
Yeah?
sure. I mean, I don't think it's going to come to anyone's surprise that Baldur's Gate 3
What?
hits the top of my
No.
list. And like having been a dungeon master and a huge Dungeons and Dragons advocate, seeing a way to be able to play it by yourself, because everybody knows that the biggest enemy you will ever encounter in Dungeons and Dragons is a schedule.
Yeah. How's our campaign going?
It's going great. I think we can actually start it up again next month.
Oh, awesome.
I'm really excited for it. But diving into the world of Baldur's Gate and seeing Faerun for the first time and seeing these places I visited in campaigns was mind-boggling and delightful, and recognizing characters and recognizing creatures and like being like, oh my god, like that's an intellect devourer and I know exactly its weaknesses and its strengths, and then being able to like use that knowledge to help me play the game. And then also such a beautiful gateway for people who hadn't thought they could play Dungeons and Dragons, to introduce it to them in such a safe, beautiful manner of the DM is just going to lead you through the story, and all you have to do is make a character and make some choices.
Yeah. No, you're on the nose with that. I'll never forget whenever I had picked up Baldur's Gate for myself, and I knew very little about D&D. Like, I had played for someone that couldn't make it a couple of times, but that was about it. And so I'm playing through this game, and I'm like 5 hours into it, 6 hours into it, like barely scraped it. And I call Faye, because I'm like, hey, dude, you've been playing this game for some time.
A week.
I'm in this area that's underground, and I just came across this giant like meatball looking thing.
Oh my god. And you're
that
like level
has
3?
that has one eye, and I keep dying, and I don't know what to do.
Back. I'm like, get out. That's not for your level. That's a specter, which is a baby beholder. Get out.
And I was like, oh, is this bad? She was like, how the hell did you even make it that far? I was like, I don't know. I'm a druid, so I turned myself into a little kitty cat and just
Went through a place you weren't supposed to.
I just bypassed everything, I guess. Whoops.
I was like, you missed so much story. I'm like, what level are you? And they go, I'm level 3. And I'm like, oh, turn
Boo-boo,
around.
run.
Go away. No, I'm like, you skipped a huge part of, you skipped all of, no. I'm like, turn.
Yeah.
Go fight Auntie Ethel first.
I love
and
it.
then you'll know you're ready.
Oh, that's awesome. No, a great choice. Justin.
I've got one.
Oh, you have one? Oh,
Yes, I do.
go forth.
Okay. Justin, I know you'll have some input on this. Plucky Squire.
I've heard really good things about that game.
I have
Oh
not
my
heard
God,
that game.
it
I'm
was-
intrigued.
So it was an indie game. It was nominated for so many awards at the Game Awards last year. And it was an indie game that debuted day one on PlayStation Plus. And this game, you're essentially playing a character inside like a children's book, and you play the game on the book. When you go to the next scene, the page turns. Sometimes you pop out of the book and explore the desk area that the book is sitting on. It's so
cool.
fucking cool.
It goes a little bit beyond that too, because the controls in the beginning, you're gonna be like, oh, this is a little bit of Zelda, a little bit of Mario here,
Yeah.
but then once you jump out of the book, it goes all kinds of places, because
Almost reminds
as
me.
you traverse.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, as you traverse the real world, you end up jumping into other papercraft things, and like, for example, at one point you jump into what can only be described as a Magic the Gathering card and take place in a turn-based fight, like a turn-based RPG fight.
It kind of.
Yeah, so
Totally
it
up
actually
my
like
alley.
switches up genres and throws surprises at you. Like one of the early bosses is literally a boxing match with a honey badger. Like
Awesome.
so,
Phenomenal.
yeah.
When
Yep.
you first pop out of the book, it kind of almost reminds me of Little Big Planet.
That's cool. I do love Little
That's a
Big
classic.
Planet.
It's got some very the visual, like on the book, the cartoon, the animation is all completely hand drawn, like
Oh, that's
It's
cartoon.
an
so
indie
cool.
game.
And then outside of the book, it becomes more like realistic graphics.
That's
like
cool.
like computer animated
Yeah.
CGI stuff.
That's really cool. I like that concept.
Yeah, that's awesome. Justin, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited to hear what you got for me.
Yeah, and I know there is at least I know you want to squeeze in a little more stuff here, so I am going to keep this very brief because it's an easy one for me.
Fair.
There was a part of me that wanted to say Dragon Age Origins, and that would have been a damn
That's
good
a
choice.
fantastic
Honestly,
choice.
what I thought you were gonna say.
I'm actually going to go with Final Fantasy X.
Really? Oh,
I
we're
know,
going retro cut on this.
I know I'm kind of maybe dancing on the line of sci-fi here, but they fight with swords, and it's got fantasy in the title.
Loophole.
You know what?
And,
That's a fair
like,
argument.
And
Loophole.
you know, and your character classes are white mage, black mage, rogue. You know, so
No, that's a
yeah.
great choice.
and the monsters are things like chimeras and stuff like that. So and griffins and shit.
I love it.
So
Yeah, that's all
yeah,
fantasy.
and it's an isekai fantasy story for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A whole like fish out of water, pun intended, narrative about someone who gets thrown 1,000 years into the future and has to learn to live with this new world that they've been thrust into while trying to find answers about how to get back home. And it is one of the most engaging and heartbreaking narratives I've ever experienced in my life.
I love it.
With some of the greatest plot twists I've ever experienced, and my absolute all-time favorite turn-based combat battle system out of any turn-based game. It's this one, 100%.
Amazing.
Because it's also the only one that is actually 100% truly turn-based.
Yeah.
Yeah, I became addicted with it. It is not only that, but I think it might actually be my number one game of all time. Like if I did a top 10 games of all my personal top 10 games of all time, this would be number one, even above Kingdom Hearts 2.
Wow.
For me.
That's high praise. God, I love Kingdom Hearts 2.
Exactly.
I have a PS2. We can play it.
So yeah, this is if anyone's never played the Final Fantasy X games, played the PS4 remaster is probably the best experience. Honestly, it's got the best visuals. A lot of it's still gonna feel dated though in terms of like some of the voice acting and animations, but they did a really good job updating as much as they could. Some of the character models are updated for some cutscenes. The whole animation has been cel shaded, so there's more depth to the scenery. Stuff like that. They added some quality of life updates, and much like the Kingdom Hearts remasters, it has content that was previously exclusive to international versions.
I love it.
In the remaster.
So, I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You'll
you'll actually see a lot of the blueprints that eventually became Expedition 33 in this game.
I love it. Oh, that's amazing. I put myself on last on this one because I have my top 3 games of all time are all fantasy games. All 3 of them are. And it's like choosing between the 3 dogs I have. Like which one's my favorite? Like, because it's been a toss up between either The Witcher 3,
Good one.
Elden Ring,
Oof, yeah.
or Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Wow, crazy. I never would have guessed.
I know. It's a shocker to everyone here. I know. I really, and this is so hard for me to say, I really think it's Elden Ring.
Honestly, I'm also not shocked.
I know, it's been a toss-up, like, no offense to Witcher 3, it's really been between that and KCD. I think
Is it any coincidence, then, that you also said Game of Thrones earlier? Like...
Yeah, I know. Why? What are you, a cop?
I'm just saying, same lore writer.
I know. George R. R. Martin, thank you for giving me Elden Ring, but again, that last book's still pretty cool. Although I will say I'm very excited about the movie, so if you want to focus on that, just don't F it up.
That's fair. Take all the time you need as long as it's good, right?
Yeah, you're right. I have played more games than I can even fathom at this point in my life, and there has not been any game that has just absolutely consumed every bit of me like Elden Ring did.
That's fair. I remember when that game came out.
That's all I talked about.
I don't think I heard from you for a very long time.
Yeah, and then when you did see me at work, all I did was talk. I was, because all I just played it. I have played through Elden Ring from beginning to end 9 times now. Yeah. I had played through the DLC on New Game Plus 7, which in the game it stacks an increasing level of difficulty every time you do a new game, but it caps at 7. So I played the DLC on the hardest difficulty humanly possible for that game. And I was pissed and I was miserable and I loved every moment of it.
You're a masochist.
I really am, especially when it comes to that. I do really enjoy From Software games. I am not the biggest Dark Souls fan in the world. I enjoy the games. I don't love them. There's just something really special about Elden Ring and the way that the world is built and structured. And like from every other From Software game, you can go into that and complete the game without knowing any of the lore, but spending the time and reading through all of the articles and reading through the scrolls and getting to learn about the family that this is all circulated around, and understanding the trauma that's happened to Radon and to Melania and everything else, it is perfection in my personal opinion. It truly, honestly is. Is the game harder than nails? Yes, absolutely. But I love that. I really do. It's that whole artist subjective thing. I gotta give it to Elden Ring. I really do. I love that game so much. Oh, now I want to play that.
Oh no.
Awesome. I know we've spent quite a bit of time talking these things, but I really want to open the floor to just any kind of medium of fantasy. A big reason why I was really excited to bring Faye on to this episode is not only is she a incredibly long tenured dungeon master and damn good at it, I might add.
Thank you.
But equally had reintroduced me back into the world of Ren fairs and cosplaying and everything else. And I'd love to hear about some of your favorite mediums, Faye. I'd love to hear y'all's as well. Like,
I am just going to rapid fire a couple of names and then let you guys get into that discussion.
Yeah, please.
I'm not even going to talk about. I'm just going to say names of things just real quick. His Dark Materials, Adventure Time, Dragon Age, Skyrim, and actually I think that was it. I thought I had something else.
I've got KCD 2 and KCD 2. I've already talked about Elden Ring, so I'll also mention KCD 2.
Yeah. Oh, Magic the Gathering.
Oh,
that was like
yes, Magic.
A different thing.
So. Something I've never really shared with y'all on this podcast. I used to be really big into Magic the Gathering. I used to play competitively, where I landed in the top 64 at the Grand Prix in Fort Worth in 2013. I played Standard. I was rocking a blue-white heroic deck at that point in my life. And Magic the Gathering consumed my life for a very long time. There's a reason why they call it cardboard crack. Like, it's just, it's so good. Nick, do you got anything for us?
Yes. There was a restaurant entertainment place out in the
Medieval times?
Yes.
Oh yeah, dude, I love medieval times.
Oh
my
my
god.
god.
They treat their knights like shit and and they treat their horses like shit.
Oh my god.
I'd be going.
We can still go.
I know. I just feel bad because those horses look
I
so
know.
sad.
It's
I know.
so much
It's
fun.
so fun.
So much fun.
Oh, it's so good.
I've only been twice in my life. I want to take Willow.
I've gone once. And I've been wanting to go back ever since.
I've gone twice. First time was one of the earlier dates for Sam and I when we first started, first became boyfriend and girlfriend. And she was so embarrassed with me there because I kept screaming out, "Hell yeah, for the fourth crusade!" And she was like, "Oh my god, could you please not say that was a slaughter of millions of people that were not Christians for the fourth crusade?"
I remember.
I would be physically like suffocating you into submission.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I accept that.
I remember going when I was the first time I went when I was a kid. When Heinz had the funky colored ketchups. My mom snuck.
Oh, the purple and the
yes,
green.
my mom snuck in the purple ketchup in her big purse for the
Like a true mother.
baby dragon.
I love it.
Oh.
Which was really just a Cornish game hen.
A delicious.
It really
Cornish game hen.
was. Oh my god, so good.
It was. Yeah. Faye.
Yes.
I wanna hear from you on your favorite mediums.
Well, oh boy, howdy. How can I not talk about Dungeons and Dragons?
I would be ashamed if you didn't.
I would have been edging everybody for nothing.
I know,
I have
seriously.
to talk about it now.
I like the movie.
You know what? I loved that movie as well. It was very fun. I think it captured the essence of what Dungeons and Dragons is, which is you goofing around with your friends and you just happen to be the heroes of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of love that the core of D&D has always been storytelling. A group of players getting together to tell a collective story, being a guide of heroes, or if they decide so to be, a group of villains. And going through these quests on a search for treasure, battling deadly foes, carrying daring rescues, and just the true meaning of fantasy adventure itself in every genre known to man, really, because Dungeons and Dragons is so wide open that you can do a sci-fi genre, you can do a modern genre.
Yeah.
I've had to do homebrew spells because somebody decided they wanted to be in a modern city, and I had to create spells that made sense for like a city that had technology.
Yeah.
You know? And like being able
D&D is also the foundation for a lot of RPGs that came after it, especially like Final Fantasy, which straight up borrows a lot of monsters from D&D lore.
Mm-hmm. And like there's even some Magic the Gathering influences that came from D&D. In fact, a lot of Magic the Gathering. So it's like for an RPG that was invented in the 70s, the one I know of the most right now is 5e. That's the one I was taught to play back when I was in high school. It's the one that I enjoyed, and like being a DM and being the primary storyteller and being able to create these worlds and seeing how they not just change your characters, but I've taught over 35 people how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and since I've learned how to play, and it was completely because of the mission of when I first wanted to learn, nobody wanted to teach me because it was too hard, the game's too long, they're already in the middle of a story, and I never wanted anybody to feel that way. And D&D is such a beautiful escape, and it's just, you can tell any story and live any type of escapism and fantasy, and you do so with a group of friends, and the bonding that happens with that is unlike some of the bonding I've ever seen in my entire life. And I can't mention Dungeons and Dragons without talking about shows like Critical Role or Dimension 20 and like the true like podcasters and shows that brought in the renaissance of what Dungeons and Dragons is, because it had a revival. Stranger Things picked up on it as well. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things that's like Critical Role started in 2015.
Yeah.
And has been going ever since. They're on a 10-year anniversary tour right now. Yep. So it's being able to have this gorgeous way to just tell your story and have your voice heard is nothing like any other game I've seen before. Because you start off learning the basic rules, the basic structure, and then after that, literally the world is your oyster. You don't even have to stay in Faerun, which is the main world of D&D. And I've learned a lot of my life lessons through decisions I've made with characters I played and as a dungeon master, and the amount of growth. Like I mentioned when I was running this campaign for you guys, it's the first campaign I ever ran as a DM.
Yeah.
And revisiting that and making the tweaks I would have made if I had known better, because nobody taught me to DM. They taught me how to be a player. But when nobody else wanted to play, I had to do it myself.
True. And here I am trying to bastardize it by making myself a raccoon named Lobo, which is short for lobotomy.
That's the beauty. Because in true fashion, D&D is being whoever you need to be, whoever you want to be. And the chaotic players are some of the best players. Like, obviously, like, the most important part is the session 0. You get together, you decide, this is the story we want to tell. So these are the characters we want to make for that story. And coming together and being able to mess with each other and have fun. And just, it's such a lesson in consent and knowing boundaries and how to enter a world without pressing the line too hard. And, like, in my personal opinion, anybody who says they don't like D&D hasn't been at the right table.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've played. I've actually been a part of a D&D campaign a couple of times. It's been a long time, but I've been really wanting to get back into it.
It's phenomenal. And like usually the first question I'll get is, well, how do you win? Right? Somebody, you're trying to explain what D&D is, or you want them to play, and they're like, well, how do you win? And you're like, by just having a good time. Yeah. It's not the dungeon master versus the players or player versus player.
That depends on the DM.
You guys are together, supposed to be telling a story that whether it ends tragically or ends heroically is something that you got catharsis and love and great memories out of. And that is why...
You don't win. You just do a little better each time.
You do. There is no winning. There's just having fun, and that's how you win. If you had a good time and you enjoyed your character's development and the DM did their job, you had a good time.
Yeah. And I will say, every time we ever have had a session together, I've always had a great time, especially Lucian and I ribbing off of one another.
The ultimate bromance.
Yes, it's Lobo the raccoon and Grognak the barbarian, who are BFFs 5 ever. We have matching boots.
Hell yeah, you do, because you won them when
as far as the end game, it's basically just beat the final boss, or however much the DM decides to be an asshole.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's also
like,
one of those things. It's like sometimes you go past the end game what you're expecting. When I turned 25, which was my first time actually DMing, I hosted my very first like actual campaign, and it was supposed to be a one shot. I picked a random one shot out of the Candlekeep Mysteries, and I taught 8 brand new players how to play D&D because I knew nobody at that moment, like in my life still, that knew how to play, except for one person, and he was the DM who taught me how to play. And he came, and I ran this campaign, and the session ended 8 hours. We played 8 hours of D&D, and they did not want to stop. And then they're like, "Can we keep going?" I didn't have a story to continue. I had to, but we played for 8 months.
That's awesome.
And sometimes it just has to be like sometimes the story ends when the players feel like they're done, and sometimes even after you defeat the big bad, now they want to explore their backstories, go see more of the world that's built and created. And it really is just prepping one session at a time. It can feel very overwhelming to be a DM because there's so much prep that goes into it. You need to know magical items and spells and know all the rules, and I would say take the pressure off of yourself, because in the end, the DM is the god of that world, and always play by the rule of cool. You know, there isn't really any core rule that you can't change if it doesn't fit your game better.
That makes sense.
As long as it's like I said, keeping it for the benefit of the players.
Yeah.
Like, you will never have an upset table if everything you're doing is to tell a story together that you all are going to enjoy.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Like,
Hell yeah. My dice tray has angel dust from Has Been Hotel on it.
I love
yeah,
Angel
mine's
Dust.
Alistair.
I just bought a really cursed set of dice that's from Arby's that's literally roast beef colored.
Yes.
Oh my god, so I have like
Oh.
the biggest dice collection you'll probably ever see in your life.
She's not lying. There's so much.
I am, so people say like, oh, like I love collecting dice. No, I am a dice goblin.
You-
Something
you are
about
the
those
literal
clicky clacky
definition.
math rocks gives my brain serotonin, and they can't take them away from
I
me.
know. I know. That's a lot, dude. I'll
No, yeah.
I'll send pictures in the group chat.
This is so well known to the point when a guy upset me. Instead of sending flowers, he sent D&D dice with flower inlays.
That's cool. That's a good apology.
Yeah.
Know your
didn't take
audience. Fair.
That's how you know you messed up. If you send a dungeon master sharp-edged resin $100 dice and she doesn't forgive you, walk away. But yeah, like Dungeons and Dragons was just my main topic. Ren Fair was going to be my other one. I'll keep this one a little bit shorter because it kind of falls underneath that same love of Dungeons and Dragons was the gateway to the Ren Fairs for me, of taking a character that you've created and dressing up as that character and taking it into public.
That's
and
awesome.
seeing how the public reacts to you
Dude,
is the craziest feeling.
I went to there's a Ren Fair in Texas called Scarborough I used to go to. There's the Irwindale Pleasant Fair. That's up in the LA area, and it was my first time going to that one,
Pleasure
and
Fair,
it was
yeah.
a pleasure fair. That I went with Faye on. And like I did cosplay for it. I went kind of like more like the kind of Viking-esque status for it. Sam dressed up as like magical, mystical-iest vibe to it. And then we meet up with Faye, who like when you see on like TikTok or Instagram, like the people that go like ridiculous to a T, that is Faye with her cosplay for Ren
I'm gonna
Fairs.
take ridiculous as a compliment. Thank you.
It is ridiculous in a phenomenal way. Like
you.
truly, dude. Oh god, it's incredible.
Well, the best part about the Renaissance Fair is it offers like a really unique experience because it's transporting you to a completely different time and place. It's super immersive. It's like enhanced with costumed characters that they hire, elaborate staging, themed activities, right? Kind of like made some bullet points here so I wouldn't go fully crazy into it, but there's a wide array of everything. Performances, jousts, magic shows, musical acts, acrobatics, stunts. Like, you can never be bored at a Ren Fair. Is it overpriced? Absolutely, as all hell. Like, do not get the sword at the Ren Fair. Get the sword on Etsy and then go to the Ren Fair, you know? But like, if you want that little memento, finding those jewelry shops where it has that beautiful necklace, and my tip to all of you will be walk around to every shop first, because a lot of shops will have similar or the same items at different prices.
Yes.
So always scout your area. But like, don't miss the joust. If a character comes to interact with you, interact back. There's no shame at
No.
a Renaissance fair. I had like a little fairy creature come up to me and be like, oh my god, I stole your soul, but you're so pretty and I want to give it back. And like they gave me this gorgeous like crystal out of their pocket. And like that's the other thing is the tradies at the Ren Fair pop off.
Yeah.
So there's like a whole trading system that like you can make bracelets or like little knickknacks, and you come with like a pocket full of like crystal mushrooms or whatever makes sense for your character, and you trade for other trinkets and knickknacks from other people who are there just to have that same feeling of escapism and wonder and fantasy. And there's just something so beautiful about being able to do that and being with like-minded people.
Yeah.
I had idea because there's a Ren Fair here in Iowa. I growing up when I was I would go to the Bristol Renaissance Fair in
That's one I want to visit very badly. I
it's
hear it's
in-
beautiful.
it is in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yes. One of the biggest Renaissance fairs, I believe.
It is awesome. So much fun. The joust is fun. I remember
Joust is
when I was
a classic.
I remember
Yes.
when I was a kid, my brother and we dressed up as little pirates.
Awesome.
Aw.
And I just remembered I have something that I got from Disney World years ago that my dad got for me. And it's the Jack Sparrow's pirate hat with the dreadlocks, beads, and all. I'm thinking about the next time there's a Renaissance fair in town, potentially getting a Jack Sparrow costume and wearing that.
Do it. And if
Yeah.
you're going to do it, commit to the bit. Because the
Oh,
amount
yeah.
of people who
Why
get
is
so
the rum
excited
gone?
and want to take pictures with you and like want to interact with you, and you meet some of the best people at a Ren Fair. You'll trade numbers
Oh
on
my
social
gosh,
medias,
yeah.
and you'll find your next D&D group. You'll find your next cosplay group, for all you know. Maybe you'll get into LARPing, which is like a whole other thing that goes off of that. So it's one of those things, it's like you never know what you're going to find at the Ren Fair, but it's always something that you're going to fall in love with. And it's
Oh, Nick, you gotta go the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
You have to sway drunkenly. You have to run flamboyantly, and you have to.
Yes.
You have to talk like a slurring Englishman. Like, yeah, you have to say stuff like "Oi, mate" and shit like that.
Oi.
You know.
Why is the rum gone?
Yeah.
the only way you can be foolish at a Ren Fair is by not going all out.
Exactly.
Captain Gibbs, what's our heading?
Exactly. And it's like honestly the best way to be one of your own heroes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The last thing I'll say about all of this is the whole, if you really, really, really want something at the Ren Fair, get it. I am still haunted by by us going to that Ren Fair in LA. There was this group that was selling these amazing, incredible wooden cups that had like these amazing patterns with like with resin inside of it, and I fell in love with them. And I was like, I don't even care if this cup's $100, $150. I'm getting one. And I walk over and I grab the cup that I really wanted and flipped it upside down, and it said $300 on that bastard.
It
And
hurts.
oh,
You need to budget for a Renaissance
Yeah.
fair, especially
Yeah.
such a big one like the Pleasure Fair.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to the one in Vista that comes around like very, I would say like late October,
yeah,
it's a little bit less expensive because they're less well known.
Ah,
The same
okay.
thing with the Viking Festival that comes
Fair.
to Vista as well. It's one of those things that both of those, just as much fun as a Ren Fair, way less crowded. And I think for your first Ren Fair experience, go with a group of friends to the big one, the loud one, the one that's crazy. After that, don't be afraid to go to the smaller ones as well, because you're going to find just as cool stuff. You're still going to be able to dress up, and it's just so much more chill.
that's fair. No, I love it. No, I thank you for sharing all of that on Ren Fairs and D&D as a whole, Faye.
No, thank you for letting me rant about it, because it's like it's a passion, really.
Awesome. Seriously, guys, I've been so excited to talk about everything fantasy related. This has been amazing, but I also know we still have media corner that we need to go through. So Justin, what do you say? Should we mosey over?
Let's mosey on over.
Moseying.
I guess Nick answered for me. I was gonna say you're the host.
Yeah, well, listen, I still want to ask that. Okay, fine. Let's mosey over, guys.
All right.
All right.
These people are shooting each other, ripping each other's guts out. I am not dying out here. This is not our war.
All right, folks, here we are at the Media Corner, part of the show reserved for news, reviews, recommendations, and sometimes previews. Nick, I am going to have you go first on this go-around.
All right, so my Media Corner entry is the new live-action Lilo and Stitch. First off, months before even the first trailer came out, I bought a hoodie at Walmart that's got the ears, the teeth, the eyes, the stomach color, the whole 9 yards. And I wore that to the movie theater along with my Stitch sweatpants.
So I have a friend that really loves Lilo and Stitch.
So Ohana is family for you.
Yes, I resonated so much with the original film.
The cartoon film was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, it's flawless. Fucking flawless.
And did you ever watch the TV show?
Yes, I watched all of it.
I love it. It's awesome.
Leroy and Stitch. Stitch has a glitch. Yeah.
Stitch has a glitch is a classic.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite experiment?
Stitch.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Same.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the generic answer.
I love Experiment 625.
Yeah,
that was
Ruben.
That was really good.
Ruben. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruben's cool. I'm pretty partial to Sparky.
Sparky's a phenomenal choice. Also, what was like the one that was like Stitch but pink?
Angel.
Who was she?
Oh yeah.
Angel.
Yeah.
She was great.
Willow has an angel pillow.
I love it.
Aww.
Like a pillow pet. So the the live action, there's a lot to pick apart here. For one, it's no secret. If you look it up on IMDb, there's no casting for Captain Gantu. They completely annexed Captain Gantu.
Yeah.
They the original voice actress that voiced Nani is in this film. I will not say as who, because that's spoilery and could potentially ruin the experience.
That's fair.
I forget her name in the animated film. Hold on one second. Mrs. Hasagawa. She is in the movie just as a completely new character.
Okay.
Oh.
And the original voice actor for David is the fake luau manager.
Oh, okay.
The little girl that portrayed Lilo, adorable, did the role justice. I will say there was I had to giggle at the very beginning, and they changed it a little bit, but Pudge still controls the weather.
Oh, well.
Oh, so it's not as depressing as the cartoon in the sense of Lilo's fully convinced that Pudge killed her parents?
What?
Did you never pick up on that?
No.
So if you notice in the cartoon and the TV show, her parents died in a horrible storm, driving home in the rain, and every day she leaves.
I heard this today.
The fish a peanut butter sandwich.
I did hear about this.
He controls the weather.
But okay, so there's a whole theory.
The lore is so
there's
deep.
a whole theory behind this. There's so I saw this on I saw this on TikTok today. If you look closely in the animated movie, David is wearing what looks like the fish hook that Maui carries from Moana.
Interesting. Okay, I do know that Disney and Pixar love to leave Easter eggs in the movies. Did you notice that on Nani's wall in the cartoon is a poster of Mulan?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I know a lot of Easter eggs about Lilo and Stitch. It was one of my favorite movies growing up.
That was Sam's favorite Disney movie of all time.
It's a fucking solid one. You know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I do have to ask the question, just because we're talking about the live action and not to spoil the ending. How did you feel about the changes they made in the ending? I know.
Yeah.
That's a tough one because I'm sure the movie and the production were phenomenal, but it's been a huge controversy.
Yeah,
really
I purposely had it spoiled for me, and the ending is
Likewise.
yeah, I looked it up because I wanted to know, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think I have arguments for defending it and condemning it, honestly.
I have a lot of arguments, I'm not going to lie, to condemn it.
Yeah,
Not that the movie wasn't good, but
myself as well.
It hurts my feelings a little, the ending that they chose, without spoiling it.
Yeah,
because of the entire purpose of the movie being Ohana.
Exactly. And that's where I'm having a hard time myself. I've been watching all of these different TikTok creators reviewing the shit out of it. I've seen a lot of positives and I've seen a lot of negatives. But here's my mentality. It's Disney. They can change whatever the fuck they want.
Yep. They also...
Not without pissing off the fans.
It was more the sense of, I don't think the change that they made pissed off the fandom because they changed it from the movie. I think they went against the lesson and the core message of the original movie.
Yeah.
Especially with having a culture like that is in Hawaii and the ending that they chose to do. It goes against their beliefs and cultures as well.
Does.
Down to the song that Nani sings to Lilo in the cartoon, which is originally created to talk about the reason why that song exists is because of the fact that Hawaii was being colonized. And their whole purpose was no matter what happens, they have their family.
They also they changed Jumba's role in the story.
They did. They made him. They made
I heard
him
that as well. R.I.P. Uncle Jumba.
Make him the main villain, replacing Gantu. He did not have a redemption arc, and that pissed me off.
To be fair, he was a villain in the beginning of the cartoon, but not by the end.
Yeah.
And definitely not in the TV show or any of the sequels.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Right.
Definitely. No.
If we go to the extended lore.
Unless you count the collateral damage from his experiments, which were designed to destroy and kill, you know?
Erroneous.
But I want to say, like, you are correct. Disney is allowed to change the message of their movie. 100% it's their movie. But how do you feel about that's the way they chose to change it? And, a situation like this where it went against the complete message of the cartoon.
Mixed feelings.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because it's an IP you love, but you don't like what they did with it, right?
Right, exactly.
But it's okay. I love that you enjoy the live action because I feel like Disney live actions get a bad rap.
The whole reason I wanted to go see this in theaters was because I didn't go because I had a feeling that they were gonna fuck up the ending, and my gut feeling was right, but what made it enjoyable was the chemistry that Lilo and Stitch had. It was infectious. I made me cry at times. It was their chemistry was perfect.
Stitch is phenomenally animated too.
Yes.
I think we can easily make the statement that if the cartoon hadn't existed before the live action came out, the live action would have been a very interesting take.
Yes.
On what's currently happening in America.
As
well as bringing in a beautiful story on family. I think what unfortunately bastardizes it a little bit is what we know of the cartoon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing. I am someone that...
The other thing that this is the whole ugly duckling theory.
The classic scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the classic scene.
I'm lost.
My heart.
You know that he feels like he doesn't belong, and what's the one thing that he takes with him?
The Book of the Ugly Duckling.
Yep.
That iconic scene was cut.
Yeah.
The book wasn't even in the movie.
Dude.
I'm confused. You said you liked this movie?
I did.
This
Specifically
sounds like a
for
caveat.
Lilo and-
This sounds like a like with
Reservations.
Yeah, with reservations. Yeah.
Specifically with the I liked this movie, but specifically the chemistry that Lilo and Stitch had. That's
Alright, so
what
the
made
acting
me.
was lovely,
That
the
is
effects
that.
were beautiful.
That is what made me connect with this movie.
Yeah.
What I'm
I-
hearing
That makes
is
sense.
that the good parts what
Oh,
I'm hearing is
there's
that
tons of laughs.
what I'm hearing is that the good parts are so good that the bad parts that are there stick out like a sore thumb as a result.
Absolutely, without
Yeah.
without a fucking doubt. Yeah, it's one of those movies.
So do you feel like with all that information it would be worth to go see?
Yes, but just keep an open mind.
I
And that's the thing.
I might
I
wait
will
for the
say,
streaming on this one.
I'm probably likewise probably gonna be a Disney Plus wait for me. I am an adamant believer in not hating something unless if I've witnessed it myself.
Yeah.
Like it was a philosophy I took with Twilight while I was in high school, and it turns out I love Twilight.
Where you been, Loca?
I try to judge remakes on their own merits instead of fully comparing them to the original. Just to be fair, I will do a little.
Extremely
I do a
difficult
little
for
of
me to
both.
do that.
I do a little bit
Yeah.
of both. No, and well, that's the other thing too. I think I'm on your side here because even without the original cartoon, just as a standalone movie itself, I still think what I know about the ending of this, it's still a lazy cop-out ending.
Yeah.
Regardless.
So
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I
Here-
just feel like it becomes very out of character for that to happen, considering what the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
was about.
Also, there's
Yeah.
marine biology schools in Hawaii, so. Like,
Yeah.
So I want to make a slight not a comparison, but it's it's not, they didn't do a retelling of the story like Snow White did.
Well, Snow White also flopped.
Yeah.
I
that poor actress.
And this one is
I
more
liked it.
mixed than anything.
I liked it. I had one
Yeah.
caveat with that film. They couldn't. There's no way to retell a story unless you're going to expand on what already was. What they did, they completely fucked it up. Like, they could have expanded on what was already there.
I agree with you. I think with the Lilo and Stitch live action, they could have done such a great job with the story that they had. That the changes that they made almost felt like a political statement, and it's something that Disney needs to be careful with lately because of where the country is currently at.
Exactly my point.
It's
It's
a
a loaded.
this-
film.
it's a loaded
topic.
review.
I smell a rating coming, and for once, I know it's not going to be a 10.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not a 10 by any means.
And
This
that's
sits
surprising.
at
for him.
a 7.5
That's
for
fair.
me.
But what's
Yeah.
interesting is like you got the 7.5. What you got from it was like the actual effects in the movie, the relationships between Lilo and Stitch, which if they were able to expand on that past the cartoon is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because like that's why they
Yeah.
created the sequels and the TV shows. Everybody wanted to see more of that relationship and
Yeah.
see it grow.
I get the feeling the parts you liked is what put it at a 0.5 and kept it from being a flat 7. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Heard.
Yes.
That's fair.
wow, solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Solid review.
It was yeah, and it was
Say-
a
like I
movie I
said-
know you walked into that movie not expecting this to be such a like it's weird.
Controversial
I was gonna say it's weird to say Lilo and Stitch the live action was controversial, but I mean it ended up kind of being that. So it was a tough seat for you to be in to try to talk about this movie.
It really was, and I wanted to unpack it. Like, I think my next media corner entry is gonna be the movie I saw this past Thursday, Karate Kid Legends.
Okay.
Nice.
Very nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. No, thank you for sharing that, man. And I know you have a little bit of a time crunch on your end.
Yes.
Nick, is this where we part our ways for the evening?
Yes, I am going to Vamoose.
Awesome.
Have a great night. It was
Yeah.
lovely meeting you.
Yeah, you too. It was good having you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, mine was a solid Nick 7.5 out of 10, which is
All right, guys.
oh, that was
we'll catch you in
amazing.
the next one.
All right.
Sounds good. Have a great night, brother.
Good
Have a
night.
great
Yep.
night.
Okay, Justin, I'm excited to hear from you, brother.
Okay. I'm gonna review season 2 of The Last of Us TV show. And
yeah.
for context, before I get into this, I gave the first game a 9 out of 10. I gave the first season of the show a 9 out of 10. I
That's fair.
gave the second game an 8 out of 10. And so, and this, the second game is going to be split into like 3 different seasons, and because of how
Right.
TV shows work, I'm going to have to rate each season separately.
Right.
So I'm focusing specifically on season 2 here, which for the game people basically covers the whole Ellie side of the story. And I will say the first 3 episodes are absolutely phenomenal. This show starts off great. It starts off with the idea that they might be changing things for the better. Coming from someone who actually liked the game and is willing to defend some of the stuff they did in it, in context, there were parts of how the show was going in those first few episodes that had me thinking, does the story of this game actually work better as a TV show? I think the story of this game might actually work better as a TV show. And I really did feel that way because of the structure of the first few episodes and how they expanded so much on other things like the rest of the community of Jackson. And there was more like, I would argue, even Walking Dead-esque type situations that they had to face that weren't in the game but made for better watching. And we get a lot of Abby early on, more so than the game, which had me kind of thinking, ooh, I hope they're gonna do what I really want with this, and I hope they're going to fix the pacing. I'd like to see like a little bit of back and forth. I got some of that back and forth, but not in the way I wanted it. I got a lot of cutting away from Ellie to different characters, but it wasn't Abby. It was other Seraphites and other wolves. Now, we did get a lot of Isaac, and I do like that, especially because it was the same actor as the game. And there's a lot to unpack there, and I thought that some of that stuff was handled well. But most of those scenes were basically just building up and teasing stuff that's not going to be paid off till season 3.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the scenes with the wolves are basically winks and nods to people who played the game, like, ooh, we don't know what's on B3 floor of the hospital, or like a part where the camera pans out and you see skyscrapers with bridges connecting them, and it's kind of like, if you played the game, you know what that means, you know what's coming, but like people who haven't played the game and watched that shit's gonna mean nothing to them, and they have to wait a whole season to find out anyways. You know,
They'll be shitting their pants, you know.
But like, so I thought the first 3 episodes were phenomenal. Even the most controversial scene in the game, I think, was actually handled better in the show altogether.
I think they did a great job with that scene.
Yeah.
I really do think they did a great job with that scene.
And I will say, the mild spoiler, but replacing Tommy with Dina was a stroke of genius in terms of addressing very specific complaints about how that all played out. The problem is, as much as they get right in the first 3 episodes, starting with episode 4, it starts to go downhill. And once they stop deterring, like once they stop, detouring from where the how the game did things, once they stop changing things and they go back into basically exactly what happened in the game and that formula, it it starts to, I don't know, it hits kind of a
It
lull
no longer makes sense.
in terms of pacing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just hits a lull in terms of pacing. There was some great stuff in there, like Dina telling one of the story of her childhood to motivate Ellie to keep going, and like Dina is perfectly cast in this show, I think, by the way.
I would agree with you on that. I think Dina, the way that the actress portrays Dina is very in sync with how Dina was in the game itself.
Well, actually, I think, and I can't say the same for everyone else, because I do think for most of these characters, their video game counterpart is a little bit better, but I think in Dina's case, I actually think her live action version is better.
You know, honestly, like I'm kind of inclined to agree with you on that.
Yeah. Jesse, like, I like him too. I think he was perfectly cast too. I just think he's a bit more of an asshole in the show than he was in the game. And I think what happened was because they defang Ellie a bit, and I think they gave her fangs to him is what happened
Yeah.
there. That being said, that is the notion I got in episodes 4 or 5 where the show starts to take a bit of a nosedive. However, the end of episode 5 gives Ellie her fangs back. It's filmed beautifully. The hospital scene, the red lights, the fact that she basically looks like a demon because her eyes are pure black. Like, it's very well done. I like that whole thing. After that, it's the next 2 episodes, 6 and 7, are an improvement over 4 and 5. I will say that.
I will say there was a little pause in your tone, so it doesn't seem like it was a vast improvement on your end, because I've watched episodes 1 through 4. I have not watched 5, 6, and 7.
Oh damn it! I was hoping you would have seen them by now, so you could. Okay.
I know. I really wanted to. It's been it's been a busy week.
Okay. So here's what I'll say. If you've played the game and you know when the perspective swap happens, then you know how this season's going to end.
Right. And you and I talked about this earlier this week. I think before we started up the spoiler cast, I was like, I feel like they probably ended it right here at this moment. And you were like, yeah, holy crap, like to the T, bro. Like,
basically 100%. And I predicted that coming once I realized, like, I think part of the reason episodes 4 and 5 pissed me off so much is because the game didn't do, or the show didn't do what I was hoping it would do with the back and forth, you know? And that's when I had that realization start to hit me, and I was like, oh, so we really are doing the exact same thing as the game again, huh? And I was like, God damn it, I don't know if I want that. That, and also Ellie's reaction to a very specific big point of news, which is her reaction to that in the game is extremely negative and realistic, whereas her reaction in the show is a complete 180, and it doesn't fit.
I think I know which one you're talking about that I've already seen.
Yeah. It also, something else that bothers me about her characterization in this show is that and I don't blame Bella Ramsey for this. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's how Ellie's written in the show. They wrote her as if she never grew up from the first season. Yeah. You know,
that's honestly
she's very immature and whiny, and like, and I know she's like that in the beginning of the game a bit, but it doesn't really. For a 7-episode season, for you to wait until the end of episode 5 to mature your character through a traumatic event is a little bit, like,
as if the first traumatic event shouldn't have done it for them to begin with.
Right, too little, too late. Yeah, and it's
unrealistic.
Yeah, and Ellie and Tommy both are a lot like, Ellie's very gung-ho on the whole revenge thing. I do like the changes to Tommy. I love the therapist. Catherine O'Hara does a phenomenal job. There are some great lines coming from her that kind of recontextualized how I looked at Ellie and Joel, to be honest. You know? And at the end of the day, I had to come to the conclusion, you know what? They are both kind of bad people, aren't they? Like, that's not, you know...
But who doesn't have to go through a zombie apocalypse and not have to end up at least morally gray?
Right, exactly. So, and that's what I think is fun about that. But yeah, so the end of episode 5 does give Ellie her fangs back. In episode 6, is basically, you know how in one of the episodes of the first season they covered the events of Left Behind? It's kind of like that, except it's every Joel flashback from Ellie's side of the game, back to back.
Okay.
And it's just more of a... But I like that because it's like... It jumps forward a year with each event, you know, the museum and everything like that is in there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's always her birthday. It always every time it jumps forward, it's Ellie's next birthday. So it's like the whole episode is a montage of that 5-year gap between the first and second game.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Which I think that is handled better than how the game did it.
Yeah.
That being said, though, episode 7, or the finale, is fucking wild. And there are some moments where Ellie's fangs definitely start to grow back in this finale. And there is a lot of, like... It's almost like the PTSD is finally starting to set in, and she is just going, like, bonkers nutso crazy shit. Like,
well, when the repression fails, you know?
Yeah.
That's fair.
There is a really great scene where her and Jesse are basically at each other's throats with a pretty solid argument where they both have valid points. And I thought it was well done. The aquarium scene is... The same shit happens, but it's handled differently. All I will say was Craig Mazin's idea was, how can we take one of the most traumatic scenes in the game and make it more traumatic? So yeah, just be ready for that.
Okay, cool.
But because that was like Bella's acting in that scene actually started to make me tear up a bit.
Okay.
So,
and that's the thing. I do like Bella Ramsey as an actress. I think that she was great as Ellie in season 1. But I fully agree with you. I think my biggest complaint I've really had about Ellie in season 2 is that we're still the same Ellie from season 1 when so much has happened since then, and we're not the same character anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm glad you also felt that as well, because it's been, I don't want to say disheartening or anything, but it's left a little bit more bitter taste in my mouth than I would have liked for her.
Yeah, I will say, for me, they did bring it back with the finale, but there's still a couple moments in there that I was like, this, I don't know. Like, there was a moment that was actually cut from the game that they decided to put back in the show, and I think they should have just left it out because it breaks the pacing of the scene.
Okay.
You know, and it's when she's on the boat, is all I can say.
Cool.
They just completely like bring everything to a full stop for like an extra 10 minutes and I get why they did it. It's Ellie's trying to see the true nature of the type of people that she was just trying to save a couple scenes later and blah blah blah. I get it, but like we've already been there earlier in the season. Yeah. So we didn't need it again. I feel like there's a reason the scene was cut from the game. Like, you know. Yeah. So there's so much I like about this season, but there's also a lot holding it back too. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to give season 2 a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I was curious where you're gonna land at it, and I mean, I'm on that downward trend that you were experiencing of episodes 4 and 5.
I promise 6 and 7 are better. Starting at the end of 5 and going all the way through to the rest of it, it gets better.
Because I would have given the first season, as far as like an adaptation, and the Last of Us franchise is one of my favorite franchises, just period. It would be in my top 10 franchises without question. And I would have given season 1 personally, I would have given that a 9 out of 10 myself. Season 2, as it currently stands, again, I'm halfway through and I'm in that downward trajectory right now. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. So I'm definitely hearing that it improved on your end makes me optimistic that it'll improve on my end, and I'll land at a 7 myself.
I was gonna say that's probably where I was, where you're at, and then I like how episode 5 ends, and I like all of episode 6, and especially the museum part. That part, as far as adapting the source material, was fucking spot on.
I love it. Okay, cool.
And episode 7. I like a lot of that too, but also like that's the big climax of Ellie's side of the game, and like I think the reason I liked it so much is because I already knew what was going to happen. I was just waiting to see it happen.
Yeah,
you know?
I feel bad for those poor bastards that have never played the game.
Yeah, because that is a hell of a way to end a season, I tell you what.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
See you in a year, nerds.
yeah, or 2.
Yeah, or 2, yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me on that.
Cool. Awesome. Faye, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Yeah. What I brought to the table today is a game called Palia. It is a game that, though I have been playing for the past year, recently had a release on the Xbox and PlayStation 5. So Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and the cool thing about this game is it's fully free to play.
Okay.
I know, it's honestly a gorgeous game. It falls under life simulation, massive multiplayer online game, which means super co-op, and the world kind of has like different servers that you fall into when you originally land in it. But the whole point is the lore. It's gorgeous. So like when you first enter the game, you learn that Palia is a planet that has 2 moons. The game's world is post-apocalyptic. So it's a setting where humans are returning, but the tech they had before, known as the flow destruction, which caused the apocalypse, flow being their magic source, is more advanced than what we have now. So when you first come in the villages, you kind of start off in Kilima, which is the main village that most of the story takes place in, along with Bahari Bay. Via Kilima village, you have to actually work as a player to gain the trust of the fellow Palians. So there's a ton of NPCs that walk the world. They're super, super extensive in their quests. There's romance options, friend options, which open new opportunities. Some quests actually require you to have a certain friendship level with certain NPCs to be able to finish them. And it's this beautiful game that kind of also has gathering and crafting materials. You have player skills that you need to level up throughout the game, which include fishing, foraging, hunting, mining, insect catching, cooking, furniture making, and gardening. And a lot of the quests that the NPCs give you require you to hone these skills in order to complete those quests as well, which is really cool. Kilima itself is like the hub area, and Bahari Bay has like higher level resources, and is the server-wide events happen based on the day and night rotation. So there actually is like a sort of timekeeping within the game, both that's live as well as actually in game. So I believe an actual in-game day takes about 20 minutes to complete. But if you leave things going, like processing in your machines, and you log out of the game, they will be finished processing by the time you come back.
Oh, cool.
So there's a real in-world time element to it when it comes to crafting and cooking and stuff, which is pretty cool. But the world itself is like rich with adventure, tons of lore, and like completing the quests reveal tons of secrets about the ancient humans, which is the race that like you belonged to, that you before you reawakened in this post-apocalyptic world. And it's actually very cozy. The other cool part about the game, which I enjoyed, is resources aren't limited. So if you're in a server with a ton of people and they picked up a plant that you needed for a potion, that plant is still going to be there and you can pick up that same plant.
Oh, cool.
So
Nice.
it creates it in a world that makes it collaborative. There's kind of like a really cool events that happen throughout the world that everybody in your server can see. So there's flow tree grottos. And what's interesting about flow trees is you need at least one other person to cut them down.
Oh.
So people will actually be talking, communicating in the chat, being like, hey, there's a flow tree grotto at E3, and you find that coordinate on the map, make it there, and then all of you guys are gathering your flow wood, which you need for special recipes.
Cool.
So it's very collaborative, and it's like one of the few fishing systems that doesn't absolutely piss me off. If you play fishing in a game like Stardew Valley, you feel like a victim. Okay, those fish taunt you. The fishing in Palia, really cozy. I can fish for hours.
The level of rage that Sam had playing Animal Crossing and fishing,
Oh my God.
and just getting baited all day long.
The worst one is Stardew.
You know,
so
that's
sorry.
fair. I believe you.
Ooh, I hate fishing in
So
Stardew Valley.
I'm curious. Oh, what were you gonna say, Joe?
I was just gonna ask real quick in turn. Is this the kind of MMO that you would say is lone wolf player friendly, or do you pretty
Oh,
much
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely it is.
'Cause
You
there
can
are-
complete every quest line on your own.
Okay,
When it comes
'cause-
to like the flow trees and stuff, that's fun to do as a collaborative, but you can also buy flow planks with certain amount of skill points you have. So if you hone your skills, you get a currency via that skill point that you can spend at a shop to gain whatever material you can't gain on your own.
Okay, because I was going to say there are some MMOs where you pretty much, at some point, you can do so much alone, but at some point you have to party up with other people in order to accomplish things like...
No, this MMO is very lone wolf friendly. It just
Okay.
makes it more fun when you have a friend in there with you. Because you like, if you go to cook and your friend is visiting your house, they can join the recipe with you, and then you both end up with a copy of that food recipe. And the food recipes give you energy. They restock your magic source. They restock your point system. So it's like creating food and gardening and making money. Like there's a reason for everything that you do in that world.
Okay.
The question I was going to ask, because I know that this is a game it's an MMO, and it's now available on Xbox, PlayStation, and everything else under the sun except for Nintendo.
It's on the Switch.
It's on the Switch.
It actually came out on the
that's
Switch before
right.
it came out on Steam.
That's right. I remember trying to play it, and it played like a potato.
Yeah, it does not play well on the Switch. I will say
It
that.
does play like a potato on it. I do remember that.
Oof.
Do you know if the game is cross-platform at all?
It is in fact cross-platform.
Oh, okay, that's good news. That's good news. So you and I, because I normally play on my PS5.
We can find each other, yes, if I'm on my PC.
Okay, cool, awesome, sick.
Especially like if you send me your friend code and we friend up,
Okay,
we're
cool,
right there.
sick.
Now
What is the name of it
expansion,
again?
Palia.
Okay.
So it's Palia, which is the name of the actual planet, which is pretty cool. The expansion that just came out with is called the Elderwood. So before, for the past, since 2023, we've only had Kilima and Bahari Bay to explore. And once you finish that main quest line, you're kind of stuck doing all the side quests until we could get more stuff.
Yeah.
And even though that quest line's hard to achieve. It's a lot of fishing. It's making sure you're honing your skills, finding rare items, like really kind of grinding in the game to achieve that big final moment. And the cutscenes are very beautiful.
I remember you were on the hunt for it. It was a specific stone.
Yeah, that fish.
You were so mad about it.
That and the stone.
Yeah.
So there's like a star stone that's really hard to find, like a ruby. People who have played Palia for like a year have only ever found one. And so, like, when you're mining geode nodes, like, there's certain chance that you'll get a topaz or a diamond. And the villagers, if you gift them their actual starstone, they give you special things in return, and you really up your relationship with them.
Okay.
But they can also be used for decoration if you find high quality, which is really cool. I've decorated my house to the gods. I love my house.
It's a stunning house.
Yes. But with the Elderwood expansion, we got something that was new that finally expanded on that storyline
Awesome.
that people thought was over. So it's basically a dense, magical forest filled with tons of surprises, like basically around every corner. There's more insects to find, more creatures to hunt, and unveiling the Elderwood mysteries is currently what I'm currently working on. It's been a lot of fun. I love the also art style of this game. When you get to play it, it feels so cozy, and I don't know how to explain it besides just you could spend hours on this game and not even realize how many hours have passed.
Yeah.
So like that's like the one I wanted to highlight for today, because I've been playing it this entire time in beta, and it still runs smoother than most games that were fully released on a console.
That's awesome. So I gotta ask, because I mean you've got hundreds of hours into this,
I do.
and if
Over
you played
300 hours.
you got after 300 hours of gameplay in Palia.
Yes.
If you were to rate this, if you were to score this, and obviously there's expansion that's going on and everything else, and it's an ever-growing game. But as it currently stands for you, where would you rate this at?
For its category, because it's hard to compare it with games like Baldur's Gate,
Right.
But for the category that it falls under,
Like we would consider MMO cozy?
yes.
Right.
It is for me at least a 9.5 out of 10. Are there bugs that I would fix? Absolutely. Are there storylines that I wish had more like depth to them? Yes. But the actual experience itself is so overwhelmingly positive, it would be hard to rate it lower.
Did you say
know what?
9.5?
9.5.
Nice.
Because nothing's ever perfect for me. I feel like there's always something you can improve.
Ah,
but it gets real close.
That's fair.
And it's that for that specific category. If I was to rate it for like games I've played overall, it would get like an 8.
Okay. But for the category itself, you give it a 9.5.
Absolutely. And this is for somebody who grew up, and the very first game she ever played was Wizards 101
Okay, cool.
as like an MMO.
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you. I guess that leaves it just to me. And this is going to be a relatively shorter one, just because this is it's a retro review, which is I think my first retro review I've done since being a part of this podcast. But in anticipation for the release of Ghosts of Yote coming out later this year, I thought it would be finally time to take on Ghost of Tsushima, that has been very sadly sitting in my back catalog for years and years and years. And all I can say is I am upset with myself that I waited this long to play this game. I first and foremost, like, I am a sucker for Sucker Punch. And yes, that was a pun that was fully intended. Like, I am just like an absolute sucker for Sucker Punch. I loved the Infamous series. I equally loved Sly Cooper. Was it my lesser favorites of like kind of that PS2 era of like Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank? It was my least favorite, but it was still great. It was still
Ratchet
great.
and Clank is peak.
Oh, Ratchet! I will say, for me personally, I am actually a Jak and Daxter peak person. Between those
Still
three,
fair.
I would rank it Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and Sly Cooper. But Ghost of Tsushima, I knew I was going to love this game. I don't know why it took me so long to actually invest the time into it, and I'm so happy that I finally did, because I am a huge fan of sprawling open world sandbox maps. I am a huge fan of feudal Japan, and I'm a huge fan of fighting games, and this checks off all of those boxes for me, with the extra box, and the most important box for me, of a damn good story. I understand now entirely why there is just so much love for the character of Jin Sakai. I found his entire story arc absolutely enthralling, and not just him, but the characters that he comes with along the way, of Ishikawa, of Masako, of Yuna, of everyone that was a part of this incredible arc of redemption, and not just for oneself, but for the country as a whole, and for it to have a lot of muddled gray areas of the story of really kind of what boils down to is are you pro country, or are you pro people? It gave me one of my favorite lines that I still think about, of having no honor and looking back and saying, "And you are a slave to that honor." Just chilled me to my
right to the country that we're currently in.
yeah, I know. There's a lot of relative phrases to this, and this game came out in 2020. I played the director's cut. I did play a fair amount of the DLC. I didn't play all of it because candidly, I wanted to be able to have it beaten before coming onto this podcast. Things that I would say, I wouldn't say dislike, but just things that I noticed is, I am someone who I am an avid lover of jank in the game. Like, I love Skyrim. KCD2, I give it a 10 out of 10. There is a pretty fair amount of jank in the game, but it's part of its charm. For Ghost of Tsushima, they did such a great job on the visuals and the graphics, but then certain cutscenes, it went from this incredible, and again, playing the director's cut, this incredible PS5 upscaled, just marvel to look at, and then it would go into a cutscene, and it was like PS3 graphics, and the mouth felt like it was detached from the body, the way that it was moving, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Well, I'll tell you, if you want to have the definitive experience with this game, you have to play it in black and white with Japanese audio.
So, and I did play part of the game that way. The major focal point in Act 2, where you defend, I cannot remember the name of the town, but you defend a village that is a rival to your uncle's clan, and it really starts this like resurgence of the ghost, and really begins a power of not samurai, but a power of the people. That entire mission and a lot of it leading up to it, I had played it in Japanese, and I had played it in that black and white, like 1920s movie style format, and it was so good. It was so good. And yes, I would agree with you. It does hide a good amount of that. Primarily for the most part of the game, I did play it in full color. I did play it in English because I enjoy subtitles, but I enjoy subtitles with English. I am sacrilegious with my anime with that. I am someone that prefers dub over sub because I don't want to read all the time. So there were some aspects of that. There was there were several side quests that just it didn't have the punch that I would have loved to have seen from this kind of game, because there are a lot of RPGs that do side quests phenomenally. I think of games like The Witcher 3, where a side quest becomes four side quests and an incredible story arc of a random character you would have never thought was going to be worth anything. Equally, the same thing that you would experience in KCD 2 that I didn't get from Ghost of Tsushima. And so there's I would say this game is great. Like, it is genuinely a great game. I understand
what it was to me when I started playing it. Like, I got pretty deep into it, and honor be damned, I'm a big stealth person, so I was mostly doing stealth assassinations and stuff. So for the way I was playing it, it felt like a better Assassin's Creed. And
I would agree with you on that. And I will say, again, much like I feel like any game you and I both play, you and I play in such opposite directions, because you are very much it's true. You were very much very big stealth on it. I was not. I was the person that as soon as I walked up to any kind of Mongol territory, I immediately requested a standoff, and I wanted to slowly walk in and just pick off people left and right and parry every single attack. And thank God I played Expedition 33, because I used to be terrible at parrying. And now I feel like I'm not from software level good at parrying, but I feel like I'm pretty decent at it now. And dude, just the fighting mechanics in that game of being able to parry and then switch your stance, turn over to a brute, kick him in the face a few times to break his stance, swipe him one time, turn over to a shield guy, change my stance, F up his shield. Like, it was, the fighting in it was a lot of fun. The fighting was great. The world looked great. The narrative was great. There was some jank that I know it feels weird to say, like, that jank's cool, but that jank isn't. But this jank, I didn't get along with well. I wasn't a big fan of most of the side quests that were in it, and just kind of felt relatively frivolous.
Well, how did you feel about the serene collectibles though, like the hot springs and the meditation and stuff like that? I enjoyed finding the hot springs, because the hot springs, like, it gives you an immediate gratification. Like, you immediately get a little bit of a health boost, and that's fun to me. I like the sword thing, because it was almost like a quick little, like, Guitar Hero session that you would just throw in out of nowhere. Fruit Ninja with bamboo.
Exactly. And so for me, that part was a lot of fun. The fox
you didn't like making haikus?
I did not like making haikus. I'm not gonna lie. I just tried. I did them a few times. Like, the very last haiku you make in it, I did take that one very seriously. The first couple I did seriously, but as I kept coming across haikus, I would either A, just pick the fastest buttons I could come across. and it just came out as, like, the dumbest haiku I've ever heard in my life, which honestly kind of made it more fun.
I was about to say, that kind of adds to the charm.
It kind of did. Or I would just skip it entirely.
Fair.
Same thing with the Fox Den. Like, I felt like the Fox Dens, like, it was kind of cool, but it just felt like a really pointless fetch quest to me. And you would have to do a crap load of them to unlock all the extra charms that you could add to your weaponry.
Yeah, well, the foxes are cute.
The foxes are cute. I will admit the foxes are very cute, but the charms felt like a pretty negligible difference in overall gameplay experience for me, even with getting towards the end and getting the advanced ones. it didn't feel like it made a difference for me, and it felt because of those added things, it felt fairly bloated to me.
I will say, by the way, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth completely stole the following a bird to the hot springs thing. Like, just so
like,
you know.
and again, like the design they did on this game was so genius. Like with the bird thing, like great idea. Instead of having a map compass following the wind, that is such a cool way to do
I was
things.
hoping you would say that because I'm a person who likes guidance and waypoint markers and stuff, so I know where to go. But I like how they can erase all of that from this game and just let you swipe the touchpad, and the wind will blow in the direction you're supposed to go. And
it was so genius. And it was beautiful, and it fit with the world. And even just like I complain about a lot of these like smaller things, but a small thing I really love doing that Lucian introduced to me because they absolutely love this game and they love this franchise. They're so excited for Yote. It's probably one of their like top 5 games period for them. One thing that they were like, hey, do you ever use the flute at any point? I'm like, no. And I was like, you should do it just randomly because it makes you feel OP. And I'm like, all right, cool. So like I would go to like a Mongol territory and like just not stealth any of it, but just take on 30 Mongols at the same time, kill all of them. And then as soon as I was done, I would swipe my pad right and I would just wipe the blood off of my blade and slide it in. And then I would swipe left and I'd pull out the little flute and I would just do a little dance while playing it over dead bodies.
So you're a blade song bard.
Yeah. And I loved it.
I do want to say I also really love like, I know that you were, just pointing out some issues with some of the visuals, but I want to say, as far as environmental scenery, the game is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
There's this one city you walk into where all the trees have yellow leaves, and I've never seen something more. I think it's called the Golden City or something. And it's
the Golden Temple.
It's very stunning. It's very beautiful.
And that's and I think that's the part why I had so much frustrations with those random side quests and the random cutscenes that all of a sudden went back 2 generations in graphics is that everything is so amazing and beautiful and immersive, and then I would get to this cutscene and it would just like snap me right out of the game and I'd be like, ugh, God.
Well, to give it another technical compliment, because I know you played the PS5 version, but the original PS4 version of this game on the PS4, 0 loading screens before the PS5, which was impressive. Incredible. Yeah,
and that was the thing, and that was something I completely forgot to mention. But yeah, the lack of loading screens in this entire game, that I could literally fast travel from one point to another and the screen would go black and then immediately pop back up. I'm like, dude, that is fast. That is incredible. Like, I wish more games had stuff like this. So far it's just that and like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and Spider-Man 2 that have really blown me away with the SSD stuff. Yeah, it is really a marvel. So I get the hype. I fully understand it. I went from... Again, because I hadn't played Ghost of Tsushima, I was like, I do like feudal Japan, and I do like fighting games, and I love RPGs, so I'm probably going to like Ghost of Yote. And I went from, like, interested into it to now I'm really excited to play Yote. I think it's a great game. Do I think it's an amazing game? It's just those technical things and just the bloated feel of it that really keeps me from giving it a 9. And I personally, like, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10 personally.
Oh, okay. There's a 0.5 in there. I was expecting an 8. But...
No, it's like, it's so close. Like, it is so close to being an amazing game for me. If they took away some of the bloatedness, if they took half of the side quests that they had and just developed more into the side quests that they currently had, this game could have easily been a 9 out of 10 for me, maybe even a 9.5. But as it is playing the director's cut 5 years later, and I do understand and can fathom, like, this is a 5-year-old game. This is not something that came out in 2025.
I mean, it's a pandemic baby game.
It was a pandemic baby game.
Yeah.
I am if this is a game that came out in 2025, this game probably would have been a 7.5 or an 8 for me, knowing how long it's been since the release and everything else that's come along with it. Yeah, I think 8.5 is a really fair score for this game.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's everything on my end over here. If you want to cap us off over there, Justin.
All right. Well, thank you for giving me a break and taking on those hosting duties for a while. But yeah,
thank you for allowing me to be able to be a host for this episode. This was a lot of fun.
Surprise.
Yeah. Oh no, it was fun for me to just kind of sit back and let someone else take the reins for a bit. Too,
yeah,
you know?
It was fun for me to see the initial look of panic.
Yeah, you're not here to see the look on my face of. I think my eyeballs actually touched my glasses there for a second. Like, oh crap!
It was a little cartoonish. It was funny. I was like, "You got this."
Oh boy, yeah, no, you did great. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for this episode, everybody. So thank you to our special guest Faye for joining us. Before we go, do you have
me.
Absolutely. And we'd love to have you again sometime. Before we go, are there any socials you'd like to plug?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly active on TikTok. My handle is Faye, spelled FAYE_wild, WYLD. Kind of like a little play on World of the Feywild and Dungeons and Dragons, in case people haven't gathered them about by now. But yeah, you can find me there. I'm working on becoming more active on my actual skits and my cosplays that I post on there soon. So you never know, you might see some new content come up.
Nice. All right. Okay, folks, if you are watching this on YouTube, let me know some of your favorite fantasy stuff in the comments down below. Remember to smash that like button if you enjoyed it. If you're on Spotify, you can leave a comment down below, or you can email me at podcastoversoul@gmail.com. My co-hosts have been Nick, who is the Gaming Fiend 1 on all the social media platforms, and Brooksy, who is Brooksy My Boy with an I on Instagram. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you to Sarah for behind-the-scenes help. Podsurf FM is our host. Epidemic Sounds is where we get our music. Thank you once again so much to everyone for listening or watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Good night, everybody.
I'm going to take over next. Bye!
He does do that.
He does.